Welcome to Cranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey sports fans, I am Cranky, and this is the Cranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Cranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out? Subscribe now to the Cranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Cranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe today.
I think senility is setting in, people. I'm telling you, the mute button was on and I didn't realize it. So I was here talking to myself. It's senility setting in. Omar, bless up, Christopher, Drew Ross, Midnight Cowboy, Conrad, bless up. Senility is really, yeah, Drew Ross, old people. So old people staying there, forget, very, very forgetful. I heard that our good friend Musk has this, somebody said Neuralink. Maybe I'll get that Neuralink thing. It'll help me with better retention of information. Midnight Cowboy, bless up, thanks for being here. I have a long list of things to talk about, but I'm going to short my list. And one of the main things I'm going to talk about is, obviously, the Reggae Boyz, and more importantly, talking around do we need more players and who those players may be. You probably see from my thumbnail, I have some people there listed in terms of people I'll touch upon this evening. But I have my usual topics to go through, so I'm going to go through them. The first one is about Trump and tariffs. If you know, and some of you I know don't care about no tariffs or no tariffs or whatever the hell you want to call it. You just want to talk about football, and I understand that, but be patient. You thought JFF silenced me for good. No, I've been under, and I'm still not feeling good, actually. People, my nephew, so let me digress a little bit. So I have, as you hear me talk about my nieces and nephews, I have the youngest one who came here last August. He's about 17. And when he was in Jamaica, he never got sick, people. Never got sick. So now he's here, bless up Toughy Rudy. And the first week he came here, he broke his hand. Now imagine, you just come to America, you know, no medical coverage. He broke his hand, people. And then he just started getting sick. Every week the boy's sick about something. So the last 2 weeks, he's had the cold/flu twice, and he gave it to the entire house twice. So I got over it, and then I caught it again from him. Don't ask me how that works. I don't know. So I told him to stay away from me. Stay away from me. You're a jinx or something. Something's wrong with you. And now he's on the road today, Sunday. So we'll see what happens. Bless up, Jargons. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you being here, everyone. So I've been under the weather, and I don't want to be here making a noise on this thing. But I want to come out and have some conversation, but I can't say I'm in the best of situation. So I was talking about Trump's tariffs, and obviously he imposed tariffs across the board. At first it was 10%. Now it's some people it's 50%. It all varies, but huge tariffs. And it's interesting because the White House is now bragging today that 50 countries have reached out to discuss tariffs. Now, here's my question, and maybe I'm not that smart. If your primary objective is to bring back jobs to the U.S. and tariffs going to enable you to do so, what is there to talk about? They don't talk about. Now, the world in general has gotten better because of globalization in terms of the standard of living for people. That's not debatable. So if you go more isolationist, you can only make so much as a people. We are also interrelated. The supply chains are so connected. It's very hard to then bifurcate them and go back to what it was before. It ain't gonna happen. Tough said, Cranky, do you look at your portfolio lately? I haven't. You know what, people? So Tough, you wrote it. Let me go in and check. I haven't purposely. I've avoided it. Let me see how much I'm down. I'm avoided it. I'm gonna tell you percentage, people, and tell you that number. I've avoided looking at my portfolio, I would admit. Just because I don't. Whoa. You know what? Tough Rudy, this was a bad idea. So I'm down 5.41%. And I'm not even concentrated. I'm distributed. Yeah, it's not a good look. Yeah, it's not a good look. But you know what? I don't look at it. And the one thing about these portfolios, people, they go down quickly. They may not go back up quickly. In fact, it probably won't, depending on what Trump decides to do. Yeah, I understand, Tuffy. It's not a good look. But I never really focus on my portfolio anyway. I kind of have those things long term and say, you know what? I don't even look at my stuff anyway. I don't buy individual stocks anymore. I used to do that way back when. I don't do that anymore. So yeah, I'm not gonna focus on it. It can get depressing for a lot of people. I don't think people realize when they say the stock market, just because a number of people that invest in the market, they don't realize that even though it's paper money you're losing, if you want to go liquidate, you've lost real money. And people don't seem to realize that. They're like, oh, just the market. No, it's not just the market. 60-some% of the population invest in the market. What are you talking about? Or have some interest in the market, whether it's 401k, 403b, whatever it is that you have. You buy individual shares, you buy mutual funds, you buy any kind of stocks. Yeah, maybe you should put your money in bonds. It's much safer. And rates probably going to go up. So, but anyway, so Trump basically is saying that people want to negotiate. Well, if you're Vietnam, for example, people, let's think about it, and your economy is gotten much better. People have moved a lot of their manufacturing from China to Vietnam, for example, to diversify because the U.S.-China entanglement, or as Will Smith people would call it, or their conflict that they have. Then, of course, you want to negotiate because you don't want to be paying a 50% tariff. And by the way, Vietnam has some very prohibitive tariff on their ends, actually, that they charge people who want access to their market. So why would you want that? So Tough Rudy said, tariff war won't end well for the middle class and poor. It's not going to end well for anybody. The rich may be able to withstand the pain, but they're losing more than the poor are losing, numbers-wise. Obviously, not necessarily in terms of standard of living. But yeah, it's not a pretty look. It's not a pretty. Tariffs can be painful, and here's what's going to happen, I think, from tariffs. What happens in life is that if one door shuts, you want to find alternatives. So you hear Japan, South Korea, and China talking about having trade-free zone. You hear other countries having the same discussion, which is, X the US. They want to deal with them. Let's come up with an alternative market. The problem is the dollar is so dominant, the US is so dominant, it's hard to work around the US. It's painful to think about alternatives. Painful. Yeah, I know people are making a joke about, that's what he's just telling you. People don't realize what he's saying is that I'm just going to put everybody, even those with only penguins on them, on a tariff. He's just showing you his blanket and he's trying to show you his power. And he wants to be the ones that's going under, get all the notoriety. So he doesn't really care. I mean, Trump, I don't even know if Trump invests in the market, except for his Truth Social situation that he has. Trump is a real estate guy. So he may have exposure to the market, but it ain't going to be like a lot of people have exposure. He makes a lot of money from royalties and from real estate, right? For selling his name that's utilized by organization. It ain't necessarily going to be from the market. If he was in the market exposed like a Musk, Trump would do some of this. Trust me. Trump is a very selfish person. No way he would do some of it if he's that exposed to the market. At least I don't think so anyway. But the market's been crashed. I told you guys last week the market was going to crash before it crashed. I did say on this program the market's going to crash because the market doesn't like uncertainty. The market hates uncertainty. The market likes surety. And if that's not there, people going to go to cash. Problem with cash is that when you have inflation, your purchasing power declines. So it's all these things are very interconnected, people. Very connected. So Chris was like, I heard that the Spanish Federation wants clubs to flag dual national, especially Americans, to hinder potential allegiance. Yeah, and so a lot of countries in Europe are now feeling the pressure of dual nationals, people who may have born in their country, but may have allegiance to other countries and may want to go to them. So, Christopher, they're going to come with it's going to get worse in Europe because people are concerned about they invest in a talent and talent go place for somebody else, right? That's part of the concern they're going to see come up. So, not necessarily shocked about that. England, the last time Carsdale was in charge of England, the youth coach, he capped everybody, didn't he? He capped Gomez, he capped Gibbs White, every one of them. Rogers, he just capped to make sure that those people are locked up for life. And we are on the other end, which I will talk about. We're fighting not to cap anybody from overseas to pursue them because we have enough talent on the island. That's how it works. But I'm a bit fair today and go to the benefits and the detriments of recruiting more players. I'm going to be fair and be objective, right? I'll be fair and be objective. What else I want to talk about before I jump into the football? I see Target and Costco are closing for Easter. I wonder why. Because people have money. I don't know why they're doing that. I see the Prime Minister was speaking to the diaspora committee in Florida. I wonder why. Why what now? I'm very cynical when it comes to before Jamaica doing this. So I said the Prime Minister and he's talking about crime and reduction in crime, which is down 30-something%. So instead of 400 people dead, you kill about 280 or something like that in a given time period. It's a good thing to see crime go down. The question for the Prime Minister and the government is, do they have good rationale as to why it goes down? As to why it went down, actually. Do they have good rationale? And I bet they don't have tangible. Look, if you're going to blame them for crime, then you got to give them the credit when something materialized, right? Yeah, so if you're going to blame them, you got to give them credit. But I did read this thing in the paper, in the Jamaica Gleaner this week. So I'm going to read out it. You guys remember, I've talked about this before. And my friend Money's man, I'm going to let me say this, and I'm not. But you know me still. So you remember maybe about when I just started my channel, I think I was a few months in, and I think it was, I hope I'm not saying this wrong. It may have been Rude Boy called in and basically said Jamaica was corrupt, right? And people them corrupt. And some people in Jamaica lost their mind. I got a call from somebody saying that they have a police have a friend, and the friend want to box the person who says so. Cause them other stuff. I don't know if they want to box me or they want to box Rude Boy. What wasn't clear. I think it's probably me because they're saying I'm facilitating this, right? So here's what I read in the Gleaner the other day. I think it was late last week. Jamaica's efforts to combat money laundering are being undermined by severe. So this article is about Jamaica struggles to tackle money laundering amid corruption, resource shortfalls. And for those who may not know, so I don't want to insult anyone intelligence. I don't say that cranky, act like I'm smart everybody else, which I get all the time nowadays. And by the way, for the people who say that, I'm going to quote Deion Sanders. This is going to get me in trouble, but you know me. I'm going to quote Deion Sanders. Don't let you guys know what they say, right? Don't let my confidence affect your insecurities. That's all I got to say about that. But let me keep going. Jamaica struggles to tackle money laundering and corruption. Money laundering is when you take illegal money and put it in a business, a legitimate business, to wash it and make it good money, right? So they can't come after you. So Jamaica's efforts to combat money laundering are being undermined by severe resource constraints and systemic corruption. According to the latest International Narcotics Control Strategy report from the U.S. State Department. So the person who's saying we're going to box me a rude boy, go box the U.S. Go box the U.S. who say Jamaica have major money laundering. Since you want to box somebody and you're so bad and you're superintendent of police and you want to beat up people, you want to assault people, because them say Jamaica corrupt, go box them, no box me. Box somebody your size, no box me. The report identified organized criminal networks, some with ties to influential Jamaicans and key players in the real estate and used car sectors as the primary drivers of money laundering in the country. It also highlights political and public corruption as critical enablers of these illicit activities. People, I am the messenger. Someone wants to say, boy, Crunk, you can't talk about this. I am just reading an article from the Gleaner in Jamaica. Don't blame the messenger. No matter about real estate, used car, politician, corruption, the man must say. All right? I'm just reading it. Not making drawing any aspersion on anyone, just reading it. And by the way, real estate has been historically known to be a great avenue for money laundering. They used to do that in the US all the time. There was even allegedly viewed that Russia had something on Trump because Russian oligarchs launder money through companies that Trump set up or through his real estate transaction. That was part of the reason why people think that Putin has something on him. So real estate has always been a very vague, gray area where you don't have transparency. And that's why nowadays in the US, if you form an LLC, because a lot of these were in LLCs, you have to register with what's called FinCEN, which is an organization that oversees all of this in the US. So according to the INCSR, the illicit proceeds fueling Jamaica's underground economy are largely generated from narcotics and weapons trafficking, cybercrime, financial fraud schemes, extortion, and corruption. Specifically targeting United States citizens, it should be said targeting, not target, particularly through fraud and lottery scams aimed at elder victims. So you know the whole scamming thing. Maybe some of the people from Jamaica trick these, a lot of times, senior folks to give up their pension money and their savings to them. And some people in Jamaica, and I heard a politician say this, let them take from me before, so we take from them now. Or they think it's okay because they don't have money. Like everybody who's older in US have money. Like everybody's Bill Gates or everybody's Elon Musk or everybody's Bezos. Crazy. The State Department also flagged significant cross-border criminal activity, including trafficking of small arms and drugs between Jamaica, the United States, Central America, Europe, Haiti, as a major source of illegal wealth. In 2024 alone, Jamaica faced a wave of financial crimes from lottery scamming and corruption to counterfeit goods and cybercrime. Yet according to the Financial Investigators Division, which is the FID, only 83 staff members were in place as of October 2024, far below the division's target of 230. So they're less than half what they need to do their job. It says from January to October 2024, the FID reported 11 prosecutions and 8 convictions for financial crimes, alongside the seizure of millions of dollars in criminal assets. The report also acknowledged Jamaica's continued cooperation with the U.S. in extraditing lottery scammers, many of whom target American citizens. And you know they had testimony on Capitol Hill about this a while ago, and here Rubio mentioned it when he was in Jamaica. While the U.S. recognized Jamaica's increased enforcement of the Proceeds of Crime Act, POCA, and noted steady gains in convictions and asset forfeitures, it emphasized that prosecutorial challenges persist. These include underfunded law enforcement agencies and a judicial system stretched thin. It also says financial crimes are often plea bargained or prosecutors focus on predicate offensives to secure convictions. The report said noting that money laundering charges are sometimes, the report said noting that money laundering charges are sometimes dropped in exchange for guilty pleas on related crimes, though asset recovery might still be pursued. So they went on to say what they normally say. Despite these errors, the report acknowledged some progress. In 2020, Jamaica made a high-level commitment to the Financial Action Task Force to bolster its anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing. and successful the company's action in 2024. The US also noted that rise in sophisticated banking fraud, a trend that further complicates enforcement efforts. In response, Jamaica amended the beneficial ownership provisions of the Company Act 23 to align with global standards. Still, a recent national risk assessment flagged real estate and used car sectors as vulnerable and under-regulated, a concern the government is now addressing in a new risk assessment. So I'm not going to read anymore, except to say I do think criminal activities in Jamaica are part of the reason why Jamaica struggled as a country. Bless up, Christmas, because small crime leads to bigger crime, leads to breakdown of morality, leads to breakdown of society. People go. I tell people, go emulate Singapore. It'd be a good thing for us. What else is on my list? I called into a program in Jamaica. So those of you who listen to radio in Jamaica, I have a new, well, it's not really new. I've listened to them before, but I didn't have a chance to listen to them quite a bit, but I'm doing more so now. KLAS, who's that? Zinedine? Or Zidane? Not Zinedine, but his name is Zidane. So I went on a program the other day, and I was so perturbed at myself because I called in to talk about a number of things. And as I got into talk about diaspora versus local, I cut off myself. And how did I do that? Somebody called in. I was trying to cut them off. I cut off the call. But anyway, that's senility for you, kicking its head in. But it would have been a good discussion because Zidane, by the way, was more accepting than LSM, because LSM will give you a nonsense media to talk about remittances. Zidane was basically, to me, the opposite. Basically saying, you know, I'm going to put it in my words, is diaspora supportive, basically. Not necessarily bringing in players, but in terms of thinking about the diaspora operate, what it can bring to the country, he's supportive. So I didn't get a chance to espouse my views in its totality. So that wasn't good. What is on my list? Grand Slam track and field. Lord have mercy. Michael Johnson. So I've watched some of the races. The most interesting, the most embarrassing was the MTI Stadium on the first day and the half-empty stadium for the next 2 days. And they were good. It's something they're trying to do. They pick Jamaica. They don't realize Jamaica is very parochial. Jamaica is very bandwagonist. Jamaica focus on make up the track and field and go watch them school run. And I can really watch the old people them run. Now, if Bolt was on there, maybe if Sheridan was there, probably get more people. But it was embarrassing. Empty stadium. The announcers trying to make excuses for it. They ain't no excuse. Chris Brown wasn't there. The person who just got out of prison wasn't there to have their freedom concert. Right? So don't be surprised and shocked. It's not shocking. Back at Johnson, you guys go watch Champs and think Champs are reflective of how Jamaica support these sporting events. That's not the case. And a lot of times at Champs, a lot of kids in people in the stands, apart from grandstand, a lot of them are kids who support their schools. So anyway, that wasn't a good look. It was an ugly look. One thing I'll say about it though, optically and pictorially, it wasn't a bad look. In terms of how, you know, the booth for the announcers, what they have in the middle of the field, they'll put the Grand Slam down. Some of the entrances had Grand Slam located pictures there. So I thought it was pretty good the way that was set up, actually. And I think I heard that there were some problems getting the stadium for people, which seemed to be normal. You heard the same thing about the Cavaliers game also. I don't know what that's about. But maybe what they could do is there any learnings to be gained from the Grand Slam event that they could leverage, at least from an optics standpoint, because the optics look better than when we have some of these other events. So that was, but not much to talk about Grand Slam. I mean, Gabby Thomas and McLaughlin and others winning $100,000. I guess they got good sponsorship. And they ain't getting paid from attendance. That's for darn sure. Ain't attendance putting them money in their pocket. Because they be broke. They probably lose a lot of money. They probably have lost money. What I want to talk about, EPL news. Not a lot to talk about EPL. People, I must say, are you like me? I'm slow to get back into the EPL. I watched Arsenal play yesterday, and I was indifferent. One thing I'll say about that is that so we drew with Everton. It was never a penalty. Oh, sorry, yes. Daniela Williams did win. She won the 100 meters flat amongst the hurdlers, and she came second I think she came second in the 100 meter hurdles, and she won the 100 meter hurdles. I mean, 100 meter flat, actually. They both have runners running events. which they normally event, and then a similar event. So if you did the 400-meter hurdles, you did the flat 4, things of that nature. So yeah, she did win. A number of people win 100,000. Bednarek win 100,000. Williams win 100,000. McLaughlin win 100,000. Gabby Thomas, yeah, those will win multiple events. Or one whatever area they were competing in. You had to run at least 2 races, and then points determine where you end up, and you get 100K. And after taxes, depending on where you are, you may end up with 60, 70. Some places even more. Not a bad 2-day work. Maybe so long on 2 days because they were there promoting the event. Thought they did a good job. I think the JFF could learn from the media element that they were doing in terms of getting together with the media, promoting the event, advertising the athletes. Because it's all about promoting the athletes or the brand. So JFF should think about, is there anything to be learned from that? As it relates to the EPL, so I didn't watch a ton of EPL like I normally do. I did watch the Man City Man U game today. I did watch the Arsenal game. I must say this though, Lewis Skelly, who was the 18-year-old to play for Arsenal, and I was saying this to somebody, he's becoming a defensive liability. Every week there's something with him. This week it was him giving away a penalty, even though I don't think that was a penalty, to be honest. Week before, he got stunted by Sessegnon when he faked him and got behind him and scored, and they came back and scored 1 goal and could have scored another goal. And he has had issues before, so he's not a left back by trade, but that's not a good look. It's becoming a problem for Arsenal, and we have no other left back. Calafiori is hurt, Tomiyasu is hurt, Zinchenko can't defend, not a good look. Adrian is saying, Bold, Shelley, and Asaf are all from 816 National Stadium, and they were still America. Yeah, when Bold came to, I remember when Bold came to Penn Relays, though. That place was sold out. So maybe he can't sell out Jamaica. Yeah, I don't know what the story is there. Messi didn't struggle to sell out, and he was playing a team that can't play. Let me not say that. He was playing a team where the football wasn't that attractive, and he sold out. So I don't know what and then Chris Brown sold out. So I don't know how to determine the Jamaica crowd and what interests them. And just like the global limelight, but a lot of these athletes are renowned globally, so it's really interesting. I see Liverpool is limping towards the title. If Arsenal had a little bit more backbone, Liverpool would struggle, right? Arsenal should have won, beat Everton. It wasn't going to make much of a difference. They were still going to win the title, but they haven't been playing that well the second half of the season. But Arsenal has been limping along, and then we lost Gabriel, so I don't know how we're going to play Real Madrid this week. Probably should just stay Real Madrid to go to the next semifinal. The way it's going, we have no forward. Our left side of our defense is a mess. Not a good look. That good though. The runner was happy, a lot of money. Yeah, they get a lot of money. I mean, it's telecast on Peacock. Probably telecast globally, so it's mainly TV money that they got. And the rest of the world who love track will watch it because of the I'm surprised they didn't have like a Noah Lyles there though, or Sharika Jackson there. If I was Johnson, I would make sure I bring a couple of those individuals there, especially a Noah who's controversial, but should be able to draw a couple of people, and people want to see him get beaten more than anything else. Yeah, Drew Ross is he probably is Drew Ross. You're right. People don't realize that actually, because people in England are very biased. All they talk about is how great he is as an 18-year-old, and every week he's making another mistake that's costing a goal. It's becoming chronic actually. Remind me of Ramsdale. And by the way, I was watching the Crystal Palace. Who's Crystal Palace playing? Brighton game. Not a lot of it, but some of it. And I saw Tuchel in the stands. And you know where my mind went to, right? You guys know where my mind went to when I saw Tuchel. He went to one place. I saw Tuchel in the stands and I was like, wow, interesting. I wonder where our coach is. I wonder if he's in a game watching Tyrese Campbell or watching John Sterling up in Scotland playing for Rangers. I wonder if he's there. I don't think we're that lucky. So, all right. So let me jump to the main topic. So I've gone through my list. Reggae Boyz and I heard the question asked about. I heard LSM always talking about this. Johnson and Noah have beef. Oh, okay. Should not be shocking. Gaming says, Cranky, I think Liverpool just got lucky this season. I just feel like from them I get challenged this season. Yeah. They didn't get challenged this season. We were poor. The last 2 seasons we did really well, winning almost all of our games after December, and then this season, because Arteta decided to go buy more defenders versus forwards, and he hasn't been by a center forward because I think Jesus is enough. Crazy. He sold Nketiah. Jesus is always injured and don't buy a forward. Madness. Oh, I just got this across my phone. I'm sorry, people. I jump all over the place. You got to excuse me. A new IVF technology could let parents select taller, smarter, happier children. Can you imagine that, people? You can just say, hey, you know what? I want a 6'4", brilliant, handsome boy. Can you make one for me? Huh? And you get it. You got to worry about the kid coming, being produced who may not have all their faculties. You can get a brilliant kid. And by the way, I want to be fast like Usain Bolt. J. Russ says crisp. Yep. And as you know, J. Russ, crisp was in, I'm right. I've actually wrote a piece on that. I'll publish it. Chris was in China, and they sent the doctor who did it for the twin girls to jail. But it's going to be IVF that does this. So, yeah, I know it exists. I know it exists, but there's the ethical standard component of it, right? So it's interesting. I love these conversations. Hey, gaming. I shouldn't say this. I'm gonna get myself in trouble. Maybe the person who's doing the crisp gaming has godlike qualities. How about that? Maybe they have godlike qualities. Cranky, please we're only streaming on JVF Live, and I turn on YouTube just. I know. Hey, Toffee Rudy. If you're playing Mexico, there's no way it can only be on JVF Live. So I did cancel my JVF Live subscription, not because I couldn't get into the system. And I called and asked, and they keep telling me I need to go talk to YouTube. I don't even know what I signed up under. I haven't got access since I signed up from they first started. So I canceled it. But I was watching the game on there was a bunch of Spanish channel that had it, a bunch of Spanish YouTube feed that had it. I should have mentioned that. Wasn't a good look. The girls, Mexico has improved tremendously. Mexico now look like Brazil, the Brazil female team. And we have regressed, it looks like. Yeah, Lee Young, I know you, Lee Young, I know about it. I actually just wrote a paper about it the other day, actually, with some help. But I haven't published it. But yeah, now it's bless up, Mr. Langsley. I'm sure Langsley would love this conversation about creating human beings to fit the criteria and profile that you want as a person. And somebody saying only God can do that. I guess there are godlike qualities in human beings nowadays. Or maybe God has given human beings the power to do this. How about that? Maybe God, like how, we saw Moses, who can part the Red Sea. Come on, laugh. Let me think what I think there. Moses can part the Red Sea. Well, maybe now you can create human beings. I haven't seen any Red Sea part since Moses left, I always find these things interesting. Well, don't get me in trouble, people. I'm nasty along today. Don't get me in trouble. I haven't seen any sea parted by anyone since Moses decided not to be with us. I wonder how that works. It's amazing how these things work. They only happened way back when, and we're supposed to advance as a people. But anyway, we're going to talk football. We're not going to digress. Stay on track, Cranky. Stay on track. Stay on track. Stay on track. Must we get water? Have water. Stay on track, Cranky. Stay on track. Moses is parting the Red Sea. Lord have us. Why not? I'm blue sea or white sea. I'm sorry. It'll get me in trouble. So for the Reggae Boys, so let's go Reggae Boys. So my question, so I heard I was listening to a couple of channels in Jamaica, and discussion was about why guys get me on another track. I get distracted easily. Was about I heard LSM say this. You guys know who LSM is, right? LSM say that they should stop. Basically, it's inferring they should stop recruiting and get that cohesiveness and the chemistry with the team, right? Stop recruiting. Too much people are coming every week, people after people. So, did I see when they part the Red Sea? Yes, I was there. I'm that age. I was there, and I told him not to party, going to create a problem, and he still parted it. But he parted it, and the Israelis, they got away, right, from the bad Pharaoh, and we have maintained this today. But fear now has no power. He's getting his you know what kick. No healing of the sick. You know, water turned to wine. Yeah. I am drunk people, but water turned to wine. You see water turned to wine yet? Up here, drunk people have them there. But water is right. Who is LSM? Oh, there's only people don't help out Cornwallian about who LSM is. But anyway, go to my bed. I should go to my bed, don't I? So me not stay long one love. Me not stay long. But let me say this, people. So I did put together a template that sort of captured the pros and cons of recruiting more players. So me can't find it and put it up here. Can you see people? Me take some time to do them thing, you know. Even though me kind of on there with that, it still take some time under this. So Big Ed said, just say the Bible is just a bunch of stories, nothing truthful about it. I'm not saying that, Big Ed boy. I would never say that. Are you crazy? I have a pastor in the audience. I have people who are very religious, and they have them gun on them side. But anyway, no, I would never say that. When them fire up on Monday and pray up on Tuesday and fire up on Thursday. Say, God forgive me and pray up on Thursday. Fire up on Friday. Pick up the tool on Friday and then go pray for forgiveness. You're told in the Bible you can repent your sins no matter what you do, no matter when you do it. So long as you're not dead first, you can repent and you got heaven. Jeez, Lord help us. I don't believe them thing there. Anyway, I'm gonna get myself in trouble. Kind of those things are hard to believe. By the way, I'm having a show this week. You know what? I need to look it up. I'm having a show this week, people. It's gonna be an interesting show. You know, for Jai, you know, it's not a football show. And people, you know, when you come here, I am all over the place sometimes, right? Because I try not to be boring, even though I may be very much so. I have a show this week. It's called. You know what? I have like 4 or 5 names for it. I'm trying to come up with a final name for it. But the question is, the show is going to be about this. Is life logical? Right? Say it again. Or it may say, life is illogical. I think I may even call it that. Life is illogical. So you guys, you join me and we're going to have the conversation. It's called Life is Illogical. We're going to have a very philosophical conversation about how illogical the whole concept of life is, how confusing it is, how nonsensical it is. So join me this week sometime. We have the show. But anyway, let me go back to what I was talking about. So I was saying we have 2 sides. One that says you need that continuity, you need the chemistry, you need camaraderie. You need people to work as a collective, and therefore you can't be chopping and changing the team. Right? So I put together a template to walk through this and see which side you come on. 1 Corinthians 6:9 will tell you who will not inherit God's kingdom. All right, so you crack, you get in trouble this evening, people. Don't beat me now. Pray for me. You know, I'm trying to be nice when I read these things. I'm trying to be nice. I read Corinthians. I read Leviticus. I read none of them things no more. I stop reading them long time. I tell no lie. Because I don't know how in them time there, man, and I say man in generic people, mean man, woman, whatever, even though man dominated then. I don't know how they have all this information and this connection with God. And all of a sudden, now we have no connection. Does that mean we're just atheists and we're just horrible? But anyway, this is another time for another day. Join me this week, people. Life is illogical. We're going to have the conversation. We're going to do the religion thing at one point. We'll do the life is logical. You're going to tie into religion too. Life is illogical. We have some people nice. Look at my atheist nice stands up. Anyway, let me go back to this. So I'm going to stop digressing, people. They're going to get me on a topic I love to talk about. So Reggae Boyz World Cup strategy. Should Jamaica stick or recruit more players? So what you guys say before I go to my little template with a couple of slides that talk about this? If you think we should recruit more players, say yeah. If you think we should be at the team we have and don't recruit more players, say nay. N-A-Y or no. Just give me a quick tip. I have no poll in front of me for run right now. You know, I got to learn to do this poll thing and I don't know how to do it. So please say yes or no if you think we should recruit more players. Now, let me just say this about this. You know, when they talk about recruiting more players, this is really interesting. Let me just tell you low, so don't hear me. So I'm not talk loud. You know, me and local players. We're not talking about local players, right? Because they don't have no limit, right? It's only diaspora players. You know, nothing to do with local players. So when they talk about recruit and they want to recruit, reduce number, me or some LSM, I talk about this. You know, have nothing to do with local players. They have their own subset of what they do. It's about recruiting more diaspora players. I'm going to talk closer about that. You hear me? All right. Chris Simmons says, Simon McLaren said we can tell you about players. So come with Marcel is second and go commission. I do know something about Marcel, but I will leave it alone. People said recruitment is a never-ending process. Exactly what Coach McLaren said in November 24 press conference. Just gonna call a player who does not have a passport. Right. No, I'm not saying McLaren about McLaren not recruiting. I'm saying I heard on the radio in Jamaica about they should stop recruiting, bringing too much players, and that confuse the whole thing, right? So that's why I'm bringing that up. So let me go to my list, people. So people say I haven't seen anyone say no yet, you know. Sure, yes, yeah. So let me go to my list of and I like to make cases. I got to be objective. So the case for and the case against recruiting. Some of them can't read that. So the approach is maintain current squad with no or minimal additions, right? So the pros for this. So the positive about this is in terms of the pros to maintain the current squad is core players have built understanding and team spirit leading to a more collective unit on the field, right? But the more people you go in, the more you have to sort of restart the process. If you go against that, you'll say there's a skill gap. That's why we need to recruit more players. So it does not directly address known weaknesses, example, the midfield creativity, the bench, which is not strong enough. And if you don't recruit more players, you're going to go unaddressed. And if you don't recruit more players, those areas you're deficient in will continue to be a deficiency and a problem. All right? Consistency in selection in terms of players knowing and comfortable that they're in the squad. So allow players to grow into their roles without fear of replacement, potentially improving confidence and performance. The counter argument is that there's limited depth. If current squad members underperform or get injured, Jamaica may lack high quality alternatives as you don't have any fresh talent, you don't have any replacement, but it doesn't apply to the local players, you know. So you have to think about that. Do we have enough quality in the local setup to replenish if people get injured or they're not performing? And we have a number of players not performing. I'll give you an example, and I'm not shying away from this anymore. Leon Bailey, is he injured? I didn't see him on Villa's bench yesterday. I can't remember when Leon Bailey has had a good game for Jamaica. Period. And looked like he's DeMar Gray's drinking the Bailey juice because he's not playing that well either. And by the way, the other day, I was so effusive about Cephas. Cephas are any 10. Cephas this, Cephas that. I was so embarrassed the way Cephas played. And then I talked to somebody in the JF and they talked about, yeah, man, Cephas have to start. After he was horrible. He don't have to start no more. No, sir. He don't have to start. I'm not saying you should be at the squad and you shouldn't play. But now, after that performance there, the important promise is if you go take a whole bath, bathe yourself with something different from normal water, because that was as bad a performance as I've seen. But anyway, let's keep going. National identity and morale. It signals faith in local talent and existing members, which can boost morale. Team remains Jamaican in character. I mean, just like you know the pros and the people. Pleasing fans and the local football community. Because you know they want more local players in that squad. But when you don't recruit people, there's missed talent opportunities. All Jamaican citizens, and you know, Sammy write this, right? You know, Sammy write all of this for there. So, you know, me I write based on what the history is. All Jamaican citizens should be afforded the opportunity to play for their country regardless of birth. I call it birth location. You know, I put where they were born. In addition, there is the risk of overlooking diaspora stars who could significantly improve the team. Other nations might cap those players instead, and Jamaica loses out. So England will cap them. Other countries will cap these players. So the US and Mexico have a big fight. If you have a player who's good enough and you don't cap them, I bring them in and cap them, somebody's going to cap them. Let me just say this also. I was told recently, you know what? I'm going to get to this afterward. Somebody called me from London, text me from London the other day, and telling me a story which I'm gonna touch upon, but I can't talk about it in total detail. Christopher, stop beating me. They're the club DJ and saying they get 3 times what Cephas. Yeah, I understand. But Cephas to me was very dangerous in the first game, right? St. Vincent, but he laid an egg in the second game. Secondly, there's still about maintaining the current squad. So should we maintain the current squad? The pros is less disruption. It avoids the risk of upsetting squad harmony or tactical continuity with new personalities. Because the coach have any standards and any style of play, even though I haven't seen one, then that gets affected. Bring new people in, they gotta go learn it, right? And the con is that we call stagnation risk. The team could become too settled and complacent, which I think Bailey is. Without new competition for places, performance levels might plateau instead of improve. I'm telling you, we need to bring in some of these other players I'm going to talk about, because some people in the team, they're too comfortable. They need some fire in them, you know what? Now, in terms of adding new players, some of the pros, talent upgrade, new high caliber players could fill critical gaps. Example, well, a new player would be Ravel to me because he ain't get no game under the scorch, so he'd have to fill that gap. Or if you bring in somebody else, which I'm going to talk about this evening, they can fill the gap also. One could say there's chemical disruption, which I touched upon before. Your risk imbalance, existing players might feel displaced, players get disenchanted, players get upset. I knew a couple of players from 98 who got dropped out the squad late, and they were extremely upset. And I understand why, because they missed a chance to go to the World Cup. Now, in terms of a plus here is a larger pool of capable players means more cover for injuries and flexibility in squad rotation, crucial for trying to qualify. And the concern also is not all recruits may be fully committed to the grind of CONCACAF, qualifying, for example, long traveling from Europe. I know some people don't like to hear me say that, but I'm calling it out, people. I'm being objective. There's a danger of some treating the team as a fallback option, which could hurt unity. It's a fact. Some players may not be committed. Now, you know, I fight against that perspective, but it could be, right? Even though they commit to the team. And I'm going to tell you why I said that. I heard about one story, which I'll mention after I don't talk about this. Last 2 items, experience and professionalism. Many foreign-born recruits bring advanced training, tactical know-how, big game experience. The con is integration. Can they seamlessly integrate in the team? And last but not least is a competitive edge. You want to make sure Jamaica has the best team possible to compete, especially if we pass this round and get to the last round, where we may face a Costa Rica or a Panama or some of the better teams in the region, apart from the ones who already qualified for the World Cup. Right? And then the last one is people in Jamaica are in their feelings. Local stakeholders and federation may not be happy about this. And they are doing this with their quota system, and they're doing this with their resistance. It's a fact, right? These are all factual. So let me say this. I had about 4 players that I had on the thumbnail. There's more than 4 who are being considered. The 4 I had on the thumbnail, obviously everybody know about Greenwood. And Greenwood obviously had the issue about his papers being signed. It's my understanding progress is being made in terms of trying to get that done, right? Whatever that progress means. Secondly is Lewis Baker. And that was going around for a while. There was some problem with the papers. Again, much progress being made on Lewis Baker. Who else I had on the list? I had Baker, Tyrese Camp. Well, there are 2 Tyreses. One is Tyresc that plays in the UK, and he's a center forward. He's a forward, good player. Supposedly he already have his passport, so it's whether the coach will give him a call up. Right? That's for the coach to decide. And then last but not least is Tyrese, Tyereece. And you know what? I think I had something with Tyrese someplace, and I know where I do it. You know what? Maybe I do this. Tyrese Campbell, who is 21, he plays at the same club. Bless up, Dr. Don. Thanks for being here. As Kaheem Dixon. The difference between him and Dixon is on the 21, recently made the bench. Tyrese is a starter on the team. He plays on the wing. And I had something here. So we can do this. Some of them can't hear these people. I'll play this. Hear that? I don't know why you guys can't hear this. You say, guys, I can hear it loud and clear. I got to figure out how this works because that happened to me with AI the other day. So I'm hearing it loud and clear, but you guys say you can't hear it. You know what I can do? I can I can leave that on the board. I'm going to try to put it up on my phone. I don't know why you can't hear it because I'm hearing it loud and clear. Let me try something else. That is weird. As I can hear it clear. I'm going to see if I can find it. It may not be here. No, I'm not finding it. And I spent time today sorting this out to people so I could play. You know what? Oh, I think I found it.
Introducing Domino's first ever stuffed crust.
So I get the proverbial advertisement first. All right. And I can't even skip it, people. So you have to play. You have to bear with me. Okay, listen to this now.
At the Valley Go, that was a pretty special one for you, for the team. How much did you enjoy today?
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. First time scoring 2 goals in a game. And yeah, the fans were good. So yeah, it was a good day.
A brace for you, a goal in each half. Talk us through both of them.
Yeah, the first one was my left foot across goal. There was a few bodies in front. I was thought, just shoot. Maybe the keeper can't see it. And yeah, the second one, yeah, I've had that opportunity a lot of times. And maybe I rushed it or like just hit it wrong. But today I took my time and hit my spot and yeah, finished.
Wait, you guys can't hear that? I thought you could hear this. You can't hear that? Can you guys hear that? Let me know if you can hear it. You guys are saying you can't hear? So why am I hearing this loud and clear and you can't hear it? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, you can hear it? Okay.
You've done so much hard work learning your craft in this different
Oh, what the hell did I do now?
Okay. Role. How have you been finding it?
Yeah, I've been finding it good. Learning along the way. I'm still learning. Yeah, I found it more difficult at first, but I think I'm getting used to it. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
I know you're loving life under Nathan Jones as well. Just how much has he helped you this campaign?
Yeah, he helped me a lot. Speaks to me every day how I can do better and what I'm doing well. And yes, everything's keep helping me.
I read in an interview this week that you wanted to add end product to your game. Is today a glimpse of that work and that intent coming off?
Yeah, I work at it every day after training with the coaches and the keeper. And yeah, it's good for it to be paying off today.
Your academy coaches, Nathan Jones, the coaches that you work with day in, day out, will tell you that hard work reaps rewards. So how did it feel, particularly that goal in front of the covered end, to take a moment, soaking up the sunshine and scoring such a quality goal?
Yeah, I felt good. Probably my favourite. I scored for Charlton in front of the covered end. It was very loud after I scored. So yeah, I was happy, smiling.
You helped raise the roof, that's for sure. Final word for the team as a whole. There's so much hunger for success. And that one was such a good one as a collective, it felt.
Yeah, that was a very good win, an important win. Obviously, last game we lost. And yeah, the important that today we just got the 3 points and yeah, we done it in a good way as well.
We certainly did it in a good way. TC, congratulations and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. So that was Tyreece Campbell. Not he's at he is with Kahim Dixon. Not to be confused. He's at Kahim Dixon at Charlton. Not to be confused with Tyrese, Tyrese, who plays at Sheffield. And if you know Kevin Campbell, who died more recently, I think that was his son, if I'm not mistaken. So that is the story on that. And I understand that Tyrese already has his papers. And this Tyrese, who has, I think, about 6 goals and 1 assist in about just over 30 games, and he's a starter, plays on the left wing. Really good player, actually. Skillful, quick, can shoot with either feet. or either foot, I should say. So it should be interesting. It should be interesting if we pursue him because he wants to pursue us. Now, so here's the players I'm familiar with that are in the pipeline. And I know PICA process has changed, by the way. I understand that PICA's time period is extended. So this could be a problem for the Jamaica football team, unless the JFF have contacts. Good evening.
Good evening, Crankies. Alex, how you doing?
I'm good, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm good. I don't know what the people say behind about all this players getting in. I don't know why people don't want the players to get in, like the Simon Preston being secret and the people them secret behind the country. I don't know why, because they say England, I got choose over England. It makes no value sense to me, Cranky, to be honest. You know, if 6 players are looking about a passport, come up with a 6 name. Why they hiding, Cranky? I don't understand why they're hiding, Cranky, because eventually England will know about the players looking about their passport when they go to the switch over the citizenship or the federation change. They're gonna know, Cranky, there and then. So might as well get the people stop speculating and tell us what the names are. What your opinion on that, Cranky?
Well, I think sometimes some of the players may not want to go out in the public domain. So or the agents may not want it. So it's not just the federation or those who are working to get those players in the pipeline and to get them naturalized. Sometimes the players don't want the visibility around this, or the agent don't want the visibility. And sometimes people are playing both sides, right? They're trying to be coy. Some may want the news to get out so they can prompt their home country to consider them. Others may just not want it to be in the public domain because they don't want the backlash or whatever may come with it, or they don't want the distraction that comes with it, right? They want to focus on their football. So that's sometimes part of it. And sometimes the people who are doing it just don't want a lot. They know the speculation is there, but they want to be able to control and manage the information versus it managing them.
Yeah, I understand that, Cranky. I understand that, Cranky. Totally understand that.
So even though we are impatient and we want to know, we just have to exercise some patience.
Question: why the coach is not picking Ravel? Is it because the coach have a long-standing history, Ravel, prior to the Manchester United days?
Well, it's very strange, Alex, right? Because
because he need to speak. Because this coach, he doesn't like to speak the thing. He go on the question, Cranky. And anytime people ask the coach some questions, Simon in the press conference, he don't want everybody to ask the coach the hard question. Okay, guys, you have to comment to me. Simon doesn't want anybody asking. No,
I don't want to be Simon's defender, but I think Simon allows the question to be asked. Here's what I think. Here's what happened.
Last time when Dan asked the coach one question, Simon tell him to go around the question like he was saying, no one to answer the question. Cranky. The coach treated answer them too much. Tell the truth. If you're Ravel or something, say you're Ravel or something, you're not picking the player. Don't tell me say, oh, you know Ravel from Manchester United. Tell me say, oh, Ravel is not a part of their plan right now going forward, and John Ross is not a part of their plan going forward. Do not give it up. I'll go merry-go-round. People got have the conscience in their mind and say, okay, Miran Garner, allegedly, them pick the player, them and put in their team, Cranky. You understand where I come from? You as a coach can set everything straight. Because a lot of people in the ocean think that this coach is not picking his day in team, Cranky.
So Simon is answering you. Simon says, what you're saying is not exactly correct. That's my way to interpret it. He's saying that he said he asked Dan to get to the question. So maybe Dan was. I don't remember what it was. Was he making a statement and then asked the question? No. You know what? No. Simon is right. I remember that. Dan was off on a tangent, giving a dissertation. And Simon said, cut the crap, ask the question. I remember that. No. Simon is right on that, Alex. You're wrong on that. I remember that question. It wasn't a question. He was talking for a long while, not saying anything.
People like regular fans like me, if I want a press conference link, Cranky, I can get it. But brother, for can't even go in there and ask the question, the fans can go in there and ask questions.
No. But it's media. Wait, Alex, let me just clarify you. People, I know you want to get to the players. We'll come back to that. Let me clarify for you. So when you go into the forum, Simon give you 2 questions to ask. You get allowed 2 questions, right? Mm-hmm. And the time is short. There's a short window. So he wants the question to be articulated and then for the coach to provide response. The coach can take as long as he wants, right? Because it's his press conference. But you can't just be giving a whole soliloquy. Yours truly done a little bit of that more recently because I want to set the stage for my question. No, me. I want to say yours truly, me.
Okay.
I did it recently because I want to set the stage for my question to make sure there's no ambiguity about the question. It's clear and it's built up to say you got to answer it because all what I'm seeing seem to be factual that informs the question. What Dan you mentioned did, he was just talking and talking and talking, and he wasn't getting to the question. So Simon has to be the moderator to say, look, you have to ask the question. Get to the question. Now, there's no easy way to do that, you know. I was thinking about how I would have done it, because he may come across a little bit not digestible, I'll call it, when you say, hurry up and ask the question, right? Which is basically what it is. So I wouldn't beat Simon for that. I'll be honest. I wouldn't beat Simon for that. I think Simon had no choice but to do it, because he was just going on and on and on. Wait, hold up, Alex. I think I'm losing Alex. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
The coach will stop going and dilly-dally around the question and Cranky and give it straight for the question Cranky. Don't dilly-dally around the question and Cranky and appreciate the question them. And the people that no ask the right question and pressure him Cranky. He might dilly-dally around the question and say, no, Ravel. We clearly say no, we don't know Ravel. Because he used to coach my Manchester and I said, tell me the reason why you're not picking him.
Alex, that's a fair question, and it's a fair thing to ask the coach. And maybe the next press conference, whoever is there, maybe you guys can ask the coach a question, which is Ravel going to be part of his squad or not? Because here's why it's important. So the last time we were in the Nations League playing against the US in the last 8, a player dropped out, right? And the coach sent for Ravel all the way from Middle East where he is, and they give him 1 second when we needed help in the midfield. And he keeps saying he knows Ravel, but no, not everybody knows Ravel, wants Ravel, do you know?
So Cranky, ask me a question. Yeah. So if you know Ravel, right?
Yeah.
And you have a problem with the player, is it unprofessional to tell us that the people say you have a problem with the player? Is that
no. You wouldn't say that. You would say it doesn't. Wait, hold on, Alex. You can't ask the question. Answer the same question, Alex. You asked me a question. Let me answer you first. We can't answer. What I would say, he should say, he doesn't fit into my plans right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the answer, Cranky. Say that we can understand, but don't go around and John Russell. He been one of the best midfielders, Cranky. Talk the truth. John Russell has been one of the best midfielders out of all the midfielders that we have playing this season. Why this man not get calling up? Is it because allegedly Meran got in the team?
No. I don't think that's it.
Why can't you look in and Cranky?
No. Because the coach doesn't know the player. Didn't you remember the last time someone asked the coach a question and he said he has a friend who's seen him? The coach now got the game and watch the players them.
He forgot the game then, Cranky. When man do with free time?
Yeah.
When man do with free time, Cranky? When man do, and you know what I say, no, between the and Cranky, you see the man that come in the last game, the assistant coach, him a coach your team, Cranky.
I'm not gonna say that, but the coach does. He does go on White Scout. He does go on White Scout.
White Scout. Watching the man, Cranky. The man go for the man on the sideline with the video analyst up in the stands and watch a game while the other coach down for their coach and apply instruction. You see them applying instruction, Cranky?
Yeah.
Yes, I understand. That's what I ask, Cranky. Why John Russell can't get? I mean, I want the coach pretty it up. If we go in a press conference, I get the chance to go in. I know pretty it up. Tell you why John Russell 9-19.
I don't think it's as bad as you think. So sometimes if I don't know the player, I can't call the player.
Right?
Yeah, man. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for listening too. All right, that was Alex. People very passionate about this Reggae Boys. So let me say this. Actually, let me go to my list of players and give you some good feeling about some and bad feeling about others. So. The players what did I do with my list of players that I had? So let's go back to the players then, people. Who I think so here's a problem. So we were doing so well in terms of trying to process papers. I talk like what I mean at the process papers. Based on how I've been informed. And then we have been told recently that the PICA process has changed, which may quite a bit slow down the naturalization process. Right? So let's start out with the big name, Mason Greenwood. We hear progress is being made. We don't know if it's June, because I think it all depends on a lot of different factors, but we hear progress is being made, whatever that entails. The last time we were told that the mom needs to sign the papers. We're now told progress is being made. Whatever that means. Is she more amicable? We'll find out. Probably find out come June. Jonathan Rowe. What should I say on this one? This is an interesting one. So I was informed that Jonathan Rowe wanted to join Jamaica a while back, maybe 2 years ago. I forgot what the timeline somebody gave me. A while back, actually. Wanted to join, and we didn't want him. Let me repeat that. He's at Marseille with Greenwood. I think he's on the bench. He wanted to join, and we didn't really want him. Don't ask me what avenue, how that works. That's all I was told. But I think his papers are being processed. The question is, does he really want to join, even though his papers being processed? You can make of that what you want. Lewis Baker. Progress is being made on Lewis Baker. Good progress, by the way. Keenan Davis. Similar. Very good process being made. Tyrese Campbell. Tyreece. Being looked at. And I think progress being made on that one also. You guys should look up Tyrese actually. Go on his Instagram page. He has highlights of his game. You have highlights of game that he has played, and you can see what he looks like. He's a good player. And the question is going to be, hold up, CC. The question is going to be, if Tyrese wants to come, and between Tyrese and Dixon, because Tyrese is 21 people, not 25, 20, not 28, 29, when England can't call no more, and I reject. I mean, if I know the YouTube talks about reject. He ain't reject. Let's see what we do in that case. Do we discourage him or do we encourage him? Go ahead, CC.
Tyrese, oh.
Huh?
Tyrese Campbell?
Yes.
Remember, I have two Tyrese. You know, that's
and I've been talking about the two Tyrese all night, CC, but you haven't been hearing me, have you? Huh? You just joined the show and you're going jumping and say, but you have two Tyrese. No, back up. We're not moving off the topic. Because you come pull me up tonight, so you want to get pull up. I did mention two Tyrese all evening, and you want to come charge me Tyrese, and you realize, maybe Cranky, maybe I'm wrong. Are you trying to tell us you're wrong, TC? Let me hear it, TC.
No, I think you would probably call Mother Seal before you call Tyrese. So which one of it? But anyway, my thing, more ask you two questions, Cranky, because it come down to the whole thing about if we need if we can make the World Cup without new players. I feel like I don't think so. Is it? I don't think so, because I see where we have some deficiency where we probably we need players in those areas. That's just my opinion.
All right.
But nothing is impossible. So there's still a probability of us making it, but I think it's a low probability if we don't get certain areas.
So CC, stay on the line. Let me just finish off the players then first, and then we can come back to that. Let me finish off the players then first. You go, not leave the line. You call WhatsApp, so it's free. Anyway.
But now data.
If you have Wi-Fi. So you mentioned 5 players. I mentioned Mason Greenwood, Jonathan Rowe, Lewis Baker, Keenan Davis, and Tyrese Campbell. Those are the 5. There's another Tyrese Campbell CC mentioned, who is a center forward for Sheffield United, who I've understood have his papers. So therefore, the coach can make a decision if he call him or not. Right? It's not like when you have to go get no papers. So that's 6 players. And I have this other long list here, which I won't get. Max Aaron's another one people are asking about. I think there was some complication with Max papers, actually. I'll just say that. There was some complication with Max papers. That needs to be worked out. But Max is interested, is my understanding. But there's some complication with papers. I don't know what the story of Reese Nelson is. I think Reese Nelson is going through a channel which I'm not familiar with. But Reese has hamstring problem, people. Significant hamstring problem, which has plagued him for years. Ain't getting no better. Dwight McNeil just came back for Everton. I think he was asked before. He was waiting for England. We'll see what happens. Emma Smith-Rowe is being discussed. ESR. 2 cap for England, 1 friendly, need to work out whether they're still eligible. And then there are players like Tyreek Mitchell, who we've talked about. I thought Tyreek Mitchell and John 3 years ago. Hasn't happened. Jaden Anthony is another one who's to play for Bournemouth. I haven't seen Jaden in a while. Dujon Sterling, you know what? This is one I need to move up on the list. Dujon Sterling does want to play for Jamaica. Let me just say that. Dujon Sterling wants to play for Jamaica. That's all I'll say about it. So those are great people. There's 6 in the list here. Dujon, Tyrese, Keenan, Lewis, Jonathan, Mason, who, if we don't get them by summer, we'll get them by end of the year. But the remaining ones, they're spy in the sky. No, 6 are enough people, you know. That means 6 people have a job on the team. But then we had 10 local players, many who weren't permanent. So yeah, a good deal. Go ahead,
Give them position to Cranky.
No. They need to go do some research themselves. Go look it up. Lewis Baker, for example, is at 8. It was a 1 in 3. Was a 1 in 3 goal contribution. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
But no, I was just saying, if you mentioned 6 players, possibly if these 6 players suppose these 6 players are forward.
Oh, wait. There's another player I didn't mention, and I can't mention. I'm sorry, I can't mention this player. This is when we get people excited when we can't mention a player. He's a far. He's gone from a remote to a possibility. But I can't remember. Hold up. I'm sorry, people. Mr. Shouldn't even mention it. But there's a player who's on the list who I don't have my list. So who's gone from remote to a slight possibility. And I think eventually, come by next year, he's going to be there. But that's just me. Go ahead, Cece. Go ahead.
But Cranky, do you think Jamaica have a football philosophy?
No. People, by the way, if you haven't hit the like button, people, please do so. We have 163 people or 68. We have 89 likes. That doesn't work, people. Please hit the like button. Go ahead, CC. No, we don't. We need a TD. We need a TD to do that. We need a technical director.
Right, so we don't have a football philosophy. All right. Then the next thing about it is this, right? In terms of short term, bringing in the players, and because I think we need players. Bringing in the players qualify for the World Cup. What do you think fixes the football long term?
You need, so if you want to fix any business long term, make it sustainable, you need people running the organization who have the requisite skill set to do so, who are strategic, who are thoughtful, who can see the forest from the trees, who can see the big picture, who can also go out and execute. You need that first. Then all the pieces, and then you need resources, right? But those people can go get resources because they'll have the know-how about doing so. You see Michael Johnson in Jamaica for the Grand Slam, he went on and got resources to television networks and all that to pay for that, even though people in Jamaica didn't attend. And I think he just wanted people to attend for optics. He wasn't even concerned, I don't think, about the money for people going to pay to go in the stadium. You know? He wanted to show a sold-out track and field stadium. He thought Jamaica would have been the place he could do that because I'm sure they probably, how much money were they charged to go to the stadium? And by the way, bleachers was free yesterday and today.
60 US to go grandstand. I think of that.
And today was free for bleachers, right? And you said it was free for bleachers.
Today was free for bleachers.
60 US not killing nobody.
Yeah, I think it's 60 US.
For grandstand.
To go watch.
Grandstand people don't have money.
Yeah, but the track and field thing, so something there. The track and field thing kind of set away still. I'm gonna tell you though, Cranky. I think a lot of persons they don't like to hear the uncomfortable truth, and sometimes it's just what it is. They just want to hear what they want to hear, and you know this too on YouTube. They want to tell you what to talk about, and they want to tell you what they want to hear. Mind you, know, they are the client, and they basically in terms of the views. So technically, you want to speak on things that they would like to hear, but in terms of the uncomfortable truth, to say no need players, and that's fine. But in terms of the long-term fixing of the football, if you look at the development side of the football, it's always going to be there. We're always going to be in this cycle where we have an issue because number one, recruitment is one part of it, which we're not even getting right, and development is the next side of it. And for me, if you don't have any form of development, proper development, then no amount of recruitment can fix that problem.
Yeah, no. So here's the thing. It goes back to leadership, right? So I actually believe this. I believe this. If Jamaica had the leadership it should at the top of the house, running the JFF in a certain way, and really was very strategic in its approach, I think, and I had a recruiting strategy, I think we could rival England for players who have Jamaican descent. There's no doubt in my mind. But if you can't give me a business case or you can't give me a compelling reason why I should join your organization, and the feedback I get from people who join you that came from where I live and where I reside and the country I'm in, and they're saying, this is a mess, it's crazy. Because I got that about one player. One player wanted to come, got feedback saying, you know what, this thing is a mess, and decided that, you know what, I'll just watch on the sideline.
But then, Cranky, do you think, but may I say, all right, but that part of it, when you say rival England for players, which is a major part of it. But may I say, what about the part about producing players as well?
No. But there's two components to this, right? There's gonna be when you're making this decision, you have a 3-tier plan. There's short term, mid-term, and long term, right? The short term is to go hard with the recruiting, right? There's a mid-term component where you're doing a combination of both. There's a long-term goal, which is you're going to have a population of players, no matter where they reside, who have the ability to compete against each other and give you the best team possible, which will then, when you start your grassroots football, and you have a real good plan to develop football for both genders on the island, which is a process built from bottom up. Obviously, top down is the strategy, but built from bottom up, where you get the island involved in the football, not just the players, the parents involved, the kids involved. You're creating a construct where parents want to go support their players. You create interest where they may have topical or ancillary interest in football, but they get interested because their kids are there, support their kids. You're almost changing culture to get that to be done. But you need people with vision to be able to do that, and a strategy that they can employ and deploy to do that.
Which, as I said, everything, because to me, there's no, what I call it, wrong answer in certain things. But for me, you don't hear anybody talking about producing any player.
No, they have the
nobody want.
No, but they have the FIFA Talent Development Program, which is where the under 15 were going through.
But I'm not talking about JFF per se.
You mean talking about on the island?
No, I'm saying when it comes down to if we even look at YouTube or you look at some people commenting on players that they would like to see in the team, I'm saying nobody puts an emphasis on that we need to be producing players as well.
No, that's not true, CC. I think people are saying producing players is for those on the island, right? Who are in the position of authority to develop the football, and others will help where they can if given the opportunity to help. Because something I want to help.
Let me give you an example, Cranky. Right? When persons call for players, you very rarely or seldomly hear a name about a player that would have been developed and sent over to Europe. Like, for example, when I ask the coach about a player, and I'll ask the coach about, Delano, what the guy named Splat, but I'll ask the coach about another player as well, which is not even from the same background that Splat would have come from. But I'm saying you only hear, like, that is why we end up with the thing where you have people saying this versus that and that versus this, because one set of persons are just triumphing one thing, and then another set of persons is saying one thing.
Right. But CC, let's back up for a second. I know what you're saying. You're saying, look, Jamaica export players. They may be playing in Serbia, they may be playing in other places. Nobody's talking about those players. All they talk about is the players that are in England.
Yeah, nobody's talking about.
But Stacey, that's how it is, though. People are going to talk about what they're familiar with. They're not familiar with those players who are playing in Serbia. They're not on TV every week.
So why? All right, look at it, Cranky. You have players that people are not on TV every week, and people go and research those players. Some of them they play at U21, want to come on TV every week, and then go and research those players.
Here's the difference, Stacey. So let me be the prosecution. Let me be the prosecution in this. So here's the difference. The player that you're talking about, people already see them, and they may have written them off.
Fairly unfairly. They see it unfairly. That is what they do. That's Cranky. This is me tell you saying it's an uncomfortable truth, you know. Who know why every time we go say CC this and
but CC, we've seen some of those players. So for example, Kahim and not Kahim Dixon. What's his name? What's the other player name? His name's to me. So for example, Javon East, for example, right? Romario Williams, for example, Cephas, Stewart. There are a bunch of other players, but people have seen them and they haven't been convinced by them. Now, you may think that's unfair and they may have developed where they go to, and that's true. And we need to see them more. But if the coach is not calling them, why would the people be calling for them too?
All right, so then
when people don't know them, they don't know them.
So what about some of the players that we have seen, Cranky, that have come and we're not impressed with them? And when we say
people call them out.
When we call them out and say we're not impressed with them, our next person come, JPL ball, I don't want to see. So it's like you cannot win because you cannot call out these set of players because you say these players are not good.
So CC, let me say, CC, I think you're not being fair. Here's what you're not being fair. Half the people who come in this chat, well, more than half were supportive of Holgate. When he played these couple games, more than half were not supportive of Holgate, and they called him out. And I've heard other YouTubers, I haven't done it, blast him and beat him, saying, "No, he come back." So you can't say it's a one-way street because it's not. Now, you are in Jamaica, so you may be more sensitive to this, but the players get called out. When Hayden first came, and even though he played well, people call him out and say, "Not good enough." Or before he came, they beat him. Same one play for England. If you go away, you might use Jamaica as stepping stone. Come on, CC, man. It goes both ways.
No, I'm saying to you that, Cranky, I'm telling you that for me, I say, me know, as I said, sensitive about information on the ground and everything like that. But all I've said, I'm hearing people say me not ask the coach them question. Obviously, them not listen to the press conference.
No, you ask the
When
coach
me
about
ask
players overseas. You do ask the press coach overseas. Yeah.
But me I say overall, like I'm saying the overarching thing. That's why I'm saying right now, for me, right now, we need players of a certain quality to go through. And even further, you always need players of quality. But I was just pointing out that even in the long term, production of players is always greater than recruitment of players, because you're going to always recruit players, you know? But how many players are you going to be able to get through recruitment versus how much player that you can get through production?
But don't disagree with that, CC. But here's what you have to understand: the production line in Jamaica is not producing enough quality players who can compete for place in the national team. That's the problem. So you produce you produce 1 million cars, right, by Ford, and you produce 1 million cars by BYD, the new China company. And the BYD cars are 99 BD, they are better than the Ford car, them. Almost 100%. Right?
All right, that's
the problem.
So that is why I say cranky. And how long have we been having this problem?
It's been going on for a lot. CC, I've said this on my program before. Jamaica has not produced not one world-class footballer in its history. Go digest that. Jamaica has not. You tell me one Jamaica footballer who's a world-class footballer in its history. Except for Bonisha.
I think there's
not one male.
But I'm gonna tell you, I think there's 55 world-class players at any given point in time, because I think world-class players is 1% of the total population of players.
And Jamaica,
1%.
wait. Jamaica has produced players in the 1% of total population of players. Name me one.
No, I'm not saying Jamaica. Right. I'm telling you, you might have other countries that have never produced a world-class player.
You see, world-class, Dwight York was a world-class player, right? Dwight York was a world-class player. Dwight York.
If you say Dwight York was a world-class player,
yeah.
Yes, Dwight York was a world-class player.
And he came from Trinidad, right?
Yeah, he came from Trinidad.
Oh, okay. Jamaica is 3 times the size of Trinidad, has not produced one.
You just said Bonisha. Trinidad don't produce no female.
But I'm just saying we were inferring male, but I want to make sure I clarify somebody who's beat me. But we were inferring male player. We're talking about male players.
But as I said, doing a cranky, I'm saying to you that we have had this problem about producing player for a long period of time. But guess what happened? Nobody solved that problem, right? But my final thing I'll say on this, because as I said before, me feel like we need a right back, we need a left back, we need 2 midfield, and we need 2 forward. Because
all right, so let's go to the player. So we need a right back. That's a Max Aarons, for example.
We need a left back.
And Max papers are in progress.
Tyree or Mitchell or Henry.
I don't think Tyreek is on the fence. I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Whichever of those, but we need a left back.
We have a left back. We have a left back. Latte body or left back. Hey, me read Latte. No, me not care what I don't answer.
No,
me read Latte. As defender?
Yes. I'll play Latte at right back or right centre back. Me I write with Latte body here in this team.
You can play anywhere in defense.
Yeah, but not left back. Me not put him on left back. But
he played left back the last game. What are you talking about?
Yes, he played left back the last game, but I'm not saying I would play him at that position particular. For example, Cranky, I would have paired Latibody here with Ethan Pinnock if it was me as the coach. And I'm me as the coach still.
Okay. No, I hear it saying. I hear it saying.
So that is what I would do.
So you wouldn't play a local playing King? We gotta be very careful. I understand. You wouldn't play King?
I am talking about what I see in Latibody here and the qualities that you could utilize. King, all right. Pinnock is the more passing type of defender. Latibody here is the more aggressive type of centre back. So I would pair them, because I think he's aggressive in terms of winning the ball, recovery, and those things. So I would pair the one who's the ball-playing defender, like a John Stones type of that ball-playing defender, or whomever you want to say, like a Lucio type of ball-playing defender. And I think Latibody here gives you don't lose any aggression. Like I think Damian Lowe is aggressive, but I think Latibody is much more controlled aggression. So then that's where I would play Latibody here. But at the end of the day, I think Richard King now is that person who would have to come off the bench. I think he's good enough to be on the bench as a backup centre back.
Right.
So me not have no problem with that. But may I say, in the areas that I've seen we have suffered so many times is the wing, is the wide areas, which is the right back area, which we are suffer for all along. I'm gonna tell them say, why not just try back Alvas Powell over there? Because obviously when you can't get in the reverse, Alvas Powell was very good and him in a hold on a position like MLS. But anyway, people are gonna say him do this, him do that. All right. Then you go left back. We need a left back, even if you have Amari Bell, but we need somebody else there just in case. Because at the end of the day, I think you can have at least 2 players per position. This is a country, so you're not gonna probably get that rich level where you would have 3 of them type of players there. In the middle of the park, I think we need 2 ball handling midfielders. 2 midfielders who can manipulate.
You may get one in Louis Baker. You need one more.
So yeah, so somebody who can be a metronome in that middle of the park, control the tempo of the game, dictate.
That's Ravel.
But when we go fast, when we go, so I'm just saying consistency in selection, because remember, selection are based on performance at some point in time. With Jamaica now, we don't know how the strategy go there. When you go into the forward line, contrary to a lot of people popular belief, my thing is this: if you have this,
CC, do me a favor. Keep talking. CC, keep talking. I have to take speaker. I have to open to this door. Keep talking, CC. Keep talking, CC. They can't hear you.
Yeah, so may I say, in terms of the forward line, for me, though, no, you'd have to look at, contrary as I said to popular belief, the youth that are playing in Mothersill is playing, starting, and is scoring goals, right? If we can call a Kaim Dixon to come and play, then we can call a Mothersill. My thing about it is that these players need to be approached, and then the players to know that you need documentation. And then there's somebody who facilitate them through the process of the documentation. Because a lot of these players, they're not going to be aware or familiar with the documentation process to get naturalized as a Jamaican in order to represent the country. I don't think a lot of them would be familiar with that aspect. So when you approach them and you speak to them, and then you're in the process of recruiting them, then you have somebody who is like a liaison officer. Because I've always said they need like a liaison officer. This person deals with the back and forth traveling for the players, all of those things, because I think the GenSec is like the CEO. I don't think he should be like involved in the day-to-day office and in those things. So you have somebody who that person's job is to ensure that the process is as seamless as possible. Basically discuss with the
CC, break up.
Sorry, may I say that person now deals with the player and the player's representatives and get the process out. Say, these are the things that you need to do. This is the steps that you need to complete. Once that person once the steps are in line, say you have 10 players with them a recruit, all of these things are being going through. Once that is completed, are them abreast the JFF say, oh, this is the process. All of these players, they have reached this part of the process. They got their documents now, and so once that is done, then the JFF and the coaching staff then knows they are available for selection. So for me, it's just the comfortability of the process of getting naturalized. Because if you're not born in Jamaica, or if you're not affair with Jamaica like that, there's a lot of bottlenecks and certain things. If you don't know the process, cranky, you might not get through with the process as quickly as possible. So for me, that's
a fact, CC. That's a fact. I mean, I went through the process. It's a fact. The process can be very seamless enough, to be honest enough, if you have all your papers in order before you go in. So if you go in, and the papers not in order, it's a problem.
So that's why I said not say JFF need a peaker person. JFF needs somebody that is out of, because you can always get that person, you need somebody who is aware and know of the processes that you need to go through.
But the JFF does have people who are involved in the process and who understand the process. The problem is this. As you're saying, the persons who are trying to get naturalized don't understand the process. So they may not be expeditiously providing the information they need to do so or get information. We have talked about this ad nauseum, which is people who migrated way back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s to England, sometimes goes under assumed names, right? Mm-hmm. Or they may have gotten remarried or whatever it is. So trying to come up with the original documentation to substantiate that they're Jamaican is sometimes very, very challenging. It's not as easy as people think. And if your name was spelled incorrectly, which I've seen people go through, even people who've migrated here, if you had an E versus you have another letter, an O or whatever it is, if your Tyrese was Tyreece versus Tyrese, that becomes a problem. So there's so many complications involved, people. That's why something takes long. And then Pika doesn't help. Pika doesn't help. Pika doesn't help. Pika is not the most. The problem is this: the government has established a process for like VIP type naturalization, whereby if you have certain skills which a government may value or a country may value, you go in a different line to get to your destination, which is get naturalized. That's not being obvious to me.
But then, Cranky, look at it like this: you don't have lawyers who are trying to get the hours to get their law when them do them bar exam and everything to get to a certain level for you to them a practice law, if them a paralegal or if they need hours. So for example, you have persons that you could get and they do like, I don't know how you get them to do, but in terms of the more complicated cases, remember at the end of the day, you know, what the JFF job is doing in this, the person that they would designate is to be liaison, like basically connecting the people, the players are the representative with the necessary people and with the and facilitating the necessary processes. So it's like a streamlining it. For example, Cranky, if you call me and say, CC, how to open a bank account, I could give you all the details. So you could stay where you are in America or Canada or Europe, wherever you are, and open a bank account. And I say, oh, all right, then Cranky, you need to fly. Set the date for Thursday. So because the flight is Wednesday and you don't want to have a delay. So Thursday now, they open bank accounts between 9 and 12. And you set your time for 10 o'clock. So when you come, you land, you do the necessary, you reach at the bank, 10 o'clock you have an appointment.
Right, but see, here's what you're missing. So there are three main parties to this. There's the player or their representatives. There's the person of the JFF or who the JFF designated to be involved in this. And there is Pika. A lot of times, the person in the mediator, the person who is in the middle, which is facilitating the whole thing. He gets the paperwork, he reviews it, he gives you the feedback. They normally do their job pretty expeditiously because they want this to get done. The problem resides with the player or his or her representative who are going to be slow in how they respond a lot of times. And then secondly, Pika, who's on their own timetable and their own, I'm going to call it slow machine, who is involved in this. And I got some stats from someone that talked about the different government in play and how players were naturalized. And this thing, some people are not gonna like this, but under the PMP regime, much more players get naturalized than under the JFP regime, even over a similar time period. In fact, there's no comparison.
Yeah.
The numbers are no comparison. Yeah.
It wouldn't be it was no comparison. But I think the final thing I'm gonna say, Cranky, is this, right?
Yeah.
I was looking at the Unity Cup that's coming up, right? And I was looking at the last time we competed at the Unity Cup. Do you know, Cranky, the team that we had in 2004, after starting 11 against Nigeria, 9 of the players were playing in England?
They weren't all citizens, though, were they? They probably played because they had Jamaican affiliation, but it was a friendly, right?
No, I'm not talking about players who.
You're talking about Jamaicans who played in England. A lot of them used to go to England and play. Yeah.
So it brings me back to the point that a lot of persons are saying the football is getting better. But I could show you pre-2010.
No. I think your comparison is wrong, though. Here's why your comparison is wrong. It's an interesting one, actually. Here's why the comparison is not. It's not apples for apples. Here's why. You got to remember, Jamaica was a British colony, right? You got to remember it was easy for Jamaican to go to England. You have to remember at that point the EPL and around it wasn't like now today, where all the best, a lot of the best players are they have money in the game like they do today. So the first division in England is probably not the championship, when before it was the Premier League, right? So the level of players have pushed down 1 or 2 levels, given the infusion of money in the British economy as related to football. So that comparison between we had Goodison and all those players playing in England and Nandolo, it's a different situation. The question you should ask yourself is, would they be there today, given so much talent across the globe is now playing in the UK at different levels? You got to remember, but it wasn't Gokarek playing at Blackburn or one of those teams before he went back to Portugal to go play for Sporting, right? And look where he is now. So what I'm saying is that the top, Gyökeres, well, GYOK, whatever his spelling is.
Gyökeres.
Yeah. Gokarek, what they call it. Something silent in there. But the point I'm trying to make is this: is that the level has improved in England quite a bit, and you don't even have as much Englishmen in the Premier League as you probably had in the first division. Because you got to remember, late 70s, early 80s, Before Adidas went to England, there were little to no overseas players in England. Maybe a few Europeans. But since then, you got to look at most teams. England have to have 8 players in the squad. Some teams don't even have Englishmen starting in the first 11. It's a different setup. So I would make that comparative and say we had better players then. It could be that's the case. I don't know, but I'm not sure I can make that clear determination that that's the case.
But all right,
someone say Coventry versus Blackburn. Go ahead.
The distinction is this, though, Cranky, is that for me, the major problem why we never qualified in those periods was administration and what took place in terms of the election when one person was ousted and another person came in, because we had, I think, Bora Milutinovic, who I thought would have been a good coach, but because of politics was ousted, right? So for me, it comes back down to the thing where it's not necessarily just production, but even as you said, leadership. The leadership as, what would I say now? Retarded, stagnated.
I would use the word retarded, coming. I want nobody come beat me, CC. I would say if you say stagnated, I can find with stagnated. If you say it hasn't done as well as they should, I can say use euphemism and say that.
I'm not saying I'm not going to say retarded. I am saying
let's not use retarded any sentence with the JFF coming. I want to get beat back tomorrow. People, but anything said in this program by CC is CC's alone and not the responsibility of the Cranky Life program. Okay?
No, I'm not saying the present construct. I am saying over the years what they have metamorphed into, like what has transpired over the years. I don't think
I don't agree with you. People, let me tell you this, because people don't realize this. I think this JFF, this may sound weird. I don't think the previous JFF administrations were better than this one. There's one person you guys get so much credit to, because you went to 98 World Cup. You go talk to some of the ex-players. You go talk to some of the ex-players and the engagement in that time with people in the administration. It ain't much better than it is now.
That's why Cranky say come back down to what I said. I think this personally. This is just my opinion. As I say, CC's opinion. I believe, as bad as people think the current administration is, if we had this current administration previously in certain periods, I feel as if 2006 when TNT qualified for the World Cup, I think we could have qualified. I believe Jamaica could have qualified for the World Cup. Jamaica we had Marlon King. Bro, I don't think we have other striker like Marlon King walked into the program up to this day. I don't think so, Cranky.
Yeah.
I think he's the best striker we have had come into the program.
Now, when Marlon came, Marlon produced.
So for me, when I looked at the players that I think you had a guy named Micah Hyde, if I'm not mistaken. But when I looked at the players and when I saw what I saw from Marlon King, and some of the players that were recruited at that point in time, I just believe that there were other stuff. Right now, probably that's what I probably need to find out. What caused us not to qualify in that period of time and speak to some of these players? Because some of the players that we had at the time, Cranky, I believe we could have qualified. So that is why right now, if you notice, we qualified for 2 Women's World Cup. As bad as things are, and there's a possibility we might qualify for this World Cup, even though we would like to see further improvement done to the JFF. But as I said before, I just think, as I said, the stagnation of the growth of football and the lack of a footballing philosophy has caused us to not kick on and go further in football from where we started, because we had a 6-year period from 1996 to 2002 where we had success. And I'm talking about success as qualifying for 3 different age group of World Cups. Going to the Gold Cup, top in a zone with Brazil in it. Romario is the top striker, and Claudio Taffarel was the goalkeeper. So we were in a situation where we had success, and then all of that success between the period of 2002 and probably even now was wiped away because of certain other factors, non-footballing related. That's just my opinion. But big up yourself, Steve.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the call, CC. I appreciate it.
Yeah, respect.
I was CC people. And CC's a staunch advocate for locally developed talent, but CC's right from the perspective of Jamaica has to do a better job of developing footballing talent. When you're giving natural attributes to allow you to succeed in an endeavor, as we are given, well, I wouldn't say we because your surely is not, but a lot of Jamaicans are given that natural athletic ability when they come out the womb, then how do you cultivate that ability to allow you to compete on the global stage in a discipline which requires certain technicalities, right? I.e. football. So there has to be a way in which we find ways, and we all got to contribute to this whole process and work with the JFF and those if they want the support from the fans and the stakeholder community to improve the local players to allow them to compete. I think one of the ways you can actually, I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, if local players get the same level as overseas born players, but at least the comparative would be much easier. And the acceptance of a process whereby one local player get picked over a foreign born player, where the ability is very close versus now there seem to be sometimes big gaps, even though some people can't see those gaps. You know, you hear Tapa, you hear Skill Cool, you hear a bunch of people in Jamaica from the football fraternity saying why we go get foreign-based players to come play, almost as if they don't watch a JPL. I watched Cavaliers versus Arctic Gardens a little bit today. It was a painful watch. I'm gonna tell you the truth, it was a painful watch. So I stopped after a while. I'm kind of an elitist when it comes to football, but I said, let me go watch. First of all, what Jamaica doesn't do well, which people need to learn to do, and the Grand Slam event give you some perspective on doing it. The optics need to be digestible. The optics need to be optically pleasing. The optics need to look good. You look at some things, you look at the surrounding, you're just like, ugh. Right? Not a good thing. The field was bumpy, not the greatest. Certain background view weren't the greatest. You have to put in a product where people look at it and want to digest the product. Can't be the product turn you off. Remember when the girls played Montego Bay? It was disgraceful that they couldn't even paint the damn fence and put up a higher fence so people couldn't see beyond the fence. It was disgraceful having that on TV. Disgraceful. I don't care what anybody says. And then you want to come and charge people some money, and then you look on it and say, can you just stop Jamaica in the bad light? We know we have some challenges, but damn, paint the wall that is being viewed, or put up a higher fence and just paint it. Camouflage the background. Because when you go on TV, that's you see what they do at the Grand Slam. They try to make everything look good, except they didn't make allowance for the people who won't be in the stands. All you're gonna see is an empty stand. But optics matter when it comes to viewing things remotely, or even being at the environment. You want to be in an environment you feel comfortable, whether it's remote or in actuality, and it wasn't a pretty look. It just wasn't a pretty look. I'm observing these things thinking, can we just do better? Bless up Jason Gooner. Can we do better in terms of when we show these things in a public domain? Can't we just put up the background, people? I'm telling you, when I watched the women's game, I was shocked, seriously, about the background. Good evening. Hello.
Hello. Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, pretty good.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking. Based on your subtitle and your wording in the subtitle, if Jamaica gonna make it towards the 2026 World Cup with this current squad?
Yep.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. That's damning.
Yeah, I'm gonna emphasize on two reasons, or additionally one more. How many teams go into the World Cup in this CONCACAF region? We already have the three. 4, I think.
No, there's 3 plus I think 2 halves, right? Simon, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there are 3 from, take out the US, Mexico, and Canada. There are 3 slots open, and then I think there's 2 half slots. I think I play a team from South America, which you're going to lose, and maybe 1 from some other places. So it's 5 potentially in total, 3 definite, and 2 other half spots. But it's actually 5 because you're going to play whoever finished a certain level in 2 other regions. So it's actually 5 slots. Okay. But you should just call it 3 slots because, frankly, you're going to play a South American team more than nicely, you're going to lose.
Okay. And probably Asia team.
And I forgot what other region it is. But it's another region. Yeah.
Okay. All right. The reason why I said that because I feel like the first 3 slots, I'm gonna rephrase. I feel like Jamaica won't make the top 3 based on how they're performing and the players that we have.
All right.
And the reason why, because we're trying to bring in new players in terms of in the diaspora, which nothing is wrong with that. We're trying to recruit them into the team, which is nothing is wrong with that. But the players we are recruiting is not the best players that are going to enhance Jamaica's performance. Not going to elevate the team spirit. We're bringing players that are coming to get a clout just because they're going to the World Cup. Jamaica, Jamaica's going, so they want clout after the team. That's what I personally feel like.
So give me an example of a player you think is coming for clout versus to help the team. I help themselves. Because let me just say this, people. Every player who comes gotta have a personal reason why you're doing it. That's why I come. So there's a personal reason. So we want the players to come because they love Jamaica and they want to play for Jamaica and it's all great. Is that how we operate as people? Or what the question is, what is in it for you that may ancillarily benefit Jamaica? That's the way I view it. Right?
Right.
Because we most do things for ourselves first and then for the collective.
Yeah, I feel like the players are coming, that the 6 players or the 5 players that you mentioned are coming to, not all of them, but why don't they come from when Al Grimsey was trying to get them from the beginning? Why didn't they try to
give me an example of a player who didn't come and Al Grimsey trying to get them. And who's coming now?
Well, Loose Baker name been thrown around since who knows long when. Since the previous World Cup. He didn't try to come. He didn't try to pull up on us.
Right.
And now you have other players like the younger players, like I know Tyrese Campbell is very young and prominent player.
Right.
You understand me?
So let me ask you a question. So do we give explanation if a player get their passport, say Cranky get his passport and he's Jamaican heritage and he plays in England, he wants to play for Jamaica and I don't call him. Should he just dislike Jamaica and not want to come play for Jamaica and disregard Jamaica? Would you feel upset about that too? Here's the point I'm trying to make.
Really.
No, here's the point I'm trying to make. We are being very selfish. So when we get denied, we get into our feelings. But when we deny them, we should just hold on to that and go. So, for example, Russell, who came and played for us, we're not calling Russell. He's in form. Should Russell say, Jamaica, go away, you diss me? Because if we call Russell, we expect him to come. And we're thinking, you're lucky we're calling you.
Yeah, but I don't feel like it's not we. I feel like it's the coach. It's not a
right, but when you think about it, but as a player thinking about it, yeah, but you're thinking about the country's not calling me. You're thinking about no coach. You're thinking about the country's not calling me. They don't want me to come play for it. Jamaica doesn't want, so we can't expect to deny people, and then when they deny us, we get into our feelings. Right? No, you can't deny me, and then when I deny you, you get into your feelings. I'm gonna give you an example. Didn't Antonio try to come before and we tell Antonio he's not good enough? Didn't Calvin Phillips try to come before and we say he's not good? We didn't want him. Didn't Jonathan Rowe try to come more recently? And we weren't necessarily advocates for that. Based on what I've been told more recently. So we can't be in our feelings when somebody say, you know what, I don't want to talk to you now, or I'm waiting for England, or I'm not considering international football.
Why when we're approaching the World Cup and
because we're the one pursuing them. Most of those players, we're pursuing them. They're not pursuing us. A lot of people, we have this misconception that, can come big with a player now. Even Hayden, who you guys beat, and say, I'm here, someone YouTuber saying, if you come, if you go in and reject, we're the one asking them to come. Hello. You think Aiden just got up and say, I'm going to come play for Jamaica? Or did we keep on being ears to come play for us?
It's beneficial towards them too because
but
every player's chance desire to play in a World Cup. That's what I'm saying.
No.
Jamaica, they're using Jamaica on a whole to enhance their career to try because their career is kind of in a.
Are we using them?
Are we in terms of what we? Of course, we are using them.
Okay, so we're both using each other.
Yes. It's a balance.
So why are we complaining?
I'm not complaining. All I'm coming to say is this is the reason why I feel like Jamaica is not because I feel like the passion is not in the players. Because we're not gonna use them in the next 2-3 years. We're not gonna use them. If we're being quite frank, we're only gonna use them for a temporary time.
Right. So we're using them worse than they're using us too. So it's really bad.
But my thing is why we are gonna recruit players of 29, 20, 30. I don't understand the reason if we're not gonna use them in the long term. What about the World Cup ahead? And this is what I feel like the staff is not looking on the long term. We're only looking on the short term, and that is my problem.
So let me say this to you. Slow down. Let me say this to you. There's 12 million up for grabs at the World Cup. You got to do whatever you can if you're in administration to get that $12 million. And you're going to use it when you want to use to get the 12 million. You're not doing it because you're altruistic and you just love these players so much. You don't give a damn something about those players. A lot of fans don't give a damn about the players. It's all about the fan getting pleasure from winning. And it's all about the administration making money from the World Cup. They make the World Cup. 12 million can go reinvest in the program and help the football and help grassroots football, right? So everybody using each other. So we shouldn't get in our feelings when a player say no, or if a player want to delay, or say they want to come now. A lot of people are getting to their feelings and getting all upset and carrying on. Yes, you're going to be disappointed, but get over yourself. Because we ain't sitting there when the players have problem. When we cut them, we don't even look at them. There are players who come and look at West Harden, for example. They come, they have no idea why they're not getting called back. We don't show them no respect. Why should they show us respect? Like people, we can't be that selfish. Seriously. We're taking selfishness to a next level. Hey, hold up. You got cut off. Wait, hold up. Go ahead. Say that. Say what you're saying. Say it again.
Yeah, I don't feel like the country don't want to see these players back. I feel like the coach necessarily is not optimistic when it comes towards the players, because I feel like apprehensively the players are not bad players, but I want passionate players. And I feel like when I look on the players that we have are not passionate. And this is one of my reasons statistically proving that this is why we're not going to the World Cup.
How do you wait, back up. How do you statistically prove passion? Really? Statistically prove passion?
Your performance. By your performance.
But the performance doesn't. Wait. There are players there who, like Ethan Pinnock, who play at one speed, who continue to get a 7+. Someone say Ethan doesn't have any passion, but he plays the same way for Brentford. I play for Jamaica. You want people to run around and jump around and show that they have energy, but they may not be able to produce quality. No one is saying that passion is bad or that energy is bad or that enthusiasm is bad. What we're saying is that there's also the concept of quality, right? So a player may not demonstrate facial expression and that vigor on the field, but they're playing within themselves to maximize their ability, and they get an outcome and they get production.
They are doing it. They are doing it of their best towards their best ability to try to make this team go forward.
Right.
Do you feel like that?
Yeah, the players I see playing, yes. I don't think any player out there
and do you think these
is cruising.
Do you think these type of players going to compete at the World Cup? My vision is not blurry, and some of you Jamaicans. I
thought we were all Jamaicans here. I thought you say some of you Jamaicans.
No. Some of the local Jamaicans and some of the Jamaicans in the diaspora just don't want to see our team perform at the World Cup in terms of going to get trashed, going to get humiliated. I don't want to see that. I want to see the next Morocco in this Jamaican team. I want to see players that's going out there going to fight. And when we can use these games to show our passion, to show our grit and our fight. When we go to the World Cup, we're going to put the same performance. And this is the reason why I'm telling you that we're not going, because we don't see the passion in the players.
So what do you prefer, passion or ability?
Passion or ability? I prefer passion, because passion shows that you have heart. Ability shows that you have talent. And if you don't use the talent, you're going to get stung.
Okay. All right. I hear you, so. Yeah, go ahead. I thought you were that was. Go ahead.
And secondly, I want to see more style of play, and this coach has been here for almost a year, and I still haven't seen a philosophy where I can say, okay, yes, the coach is working on some things. And number two, we don't use the same crop of players, and we're going to intercede with more players that's coming in. But can we stay consistent with that? That is my problem. Can we stay more consistent with the 26 to 30 players? Stay with these players, because Jonathan Nussle, he hasn't done nothing that I see in my eye for him not to get a call up. I feel like the coach don't know these players and he don't want to bring them in. I feel like he don't know a lot of these players, because the first 4 camps, he didn't pick it. It was the squad was picked by Miran God. Can we agree on that?
I don't know who picked the squad. I think Miran had influence, especially for players the coach may not be familiar with. So I'm sure he had some input into the squad. But I can't say he picked the squad. But he had a lot of input. It was very obvious. He had a lot of input.
Okay, and secondly, I want to whenever you keeping or whenever you're broadcasting your next show about life, I want to come and I want to challenge you, but I want to have a logical reason with you.
I'm gonna have the live show this week, and people, my show is gonna about is life illogical. Okay, I should promote it. The discussion about is life illogical. I'm gonna show you all these contradictions in life that make it really interesting in terms of that discussion, because people are very uncomfortable with some of those discussions. But you need to have the uncomfortable discussions. And so, are you going to get better? Are you going to improve? Or are you going to really be deductive in your thinking? So we got the question, people. The question that is being alluded to here is about a program we're going to have about is life illogical, right? So I want you to join. It's going to be this week. I sent out a notification for it. It's going to be an interesting conversation.
Okay, I will definitely join. I will definitely be on the show. I will definitely come and voice my displeasure. Or to
why right away you're this? You didn't even start off. You know what?
No, or to.
Okay, good. All right, fine.
I to agree. I to agree. Depends on where the situation is going or where the conversation is at. I'm willing because I'm not a subjective person. I like to be on board with my fellow man. So nothing is wrong with challenging another person, but to try to see where your mind is at, because at the end of the day, each and every one of us have our own opinion. And not because I don't agree with your opinion, that means you're not right. That's your own piece of cake that you got to eat. So I'm looking forward to this show. And nice speaking with you tonight, okay?
All right. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. All right, Kaka. Later. Chris says, Cranky Boys are one of our best local players on the bench in Mexico. He went France, Russia. Didn't work out. These people acting like Jamaica have a big player that can compete in the CONCACAF. Yeah, look, look, I think we have talked about this ad nauseum, whereby we really need to think about how we can develop the local talent. Look, there's talent on the island, right? We saw Brown play the other day. To me, he looked good. He was one of the better players on the field, even though he didn't get touch the ball enough, right? And he plays in the JPL. So there's talent on the island. How do you cultivate that talent, enhance the talent, and get the talent to a good place? Good evening. Hello? Hello? I think he probably pressed call again by mistake. That was a call coming in. The person didn't respond. Wonder why. So, Conrad said people want to throw at Boza already. I think the problem with Boza, Conrad, is that Boza didn't have the best Copa, right? Didn't have the best Copa, and his play since then hasn't been great. Good evening, sir. Who am I talking to?
Good evening, Cranky. It's Jason Guna. What's up?
Mr. Guna, how you doing? And people, by the way, for Jason start his eloquence, can you please hit the like button? If you haven't shared, please do so. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, so I see the question on the screen. I haven't been tuning in for the whole show, but I'm just going to answer the question. I believe that the Reggae Boys do need a few new players if we want to make the World Cup.
You say a few. What does a few mean?
Look, the way I see it, every window, we all complain that the coach is a bit reactive in his substitutions, right?
Oh man, is he reactive?
Would you you would agree with that, right?
Yeah, very much so.
And I am of the mindset that happens as a result of, for one, every window we have at least 5 to 8 players that can come due to whatever reason, right?
Right.
And I think the players that we end up picking some of the time are maybe a bit more experimental than what the coach really would like to play.
Okay.
And because of that, if the people that are tired or who need to come off are not in the positions where we have cover, the coach just persists with those same players. And I feel like if we just had some more players in the pool for each area of the field, maybe we would see a more proactive coach. And that's why I think when it comes down to it in the World Cup qualifiers, you're going to have to make in-game adjustments and things of that nature. And I think if we continue to pick the teams the way we are now, we're going to run into some problems because it's only the first team that really goes to the World Cup. And yes, there's a playoff after that and all of that, but I would rather just qualify straight through the group. And I think we can do that if we reinforce a bit more.
Yeah. So who would you like to see?
Look, a lot of the names that have been coming up, and you know because you get information all the time, as do I. Those names just need to come through. Look, the Lewis Bakers of the world, the Mason Greenwoods of the world, the players that we've been hearing about. I would love Max Aarons to get a chance as well if he's still, trying to get his paperwork over the line. There are at least 10 to 12 players that we have all heard about. Everybody watching the show, everybody that follows the team.
All right.
If we can get half of those players, 6 to 8 of those players, and get them over the line, I think that would hold us in very good stead. Because I think even in areas where we think we're good, it's obvious that every time we come around to a window, there's players that can't come for whatever reason, injury, personal, whatever it is. So we need to add some more quality to the pool so that when that happens, we're not just picking players that, the coach don't want to play, because sometimes there's situations in games, Cranky, and you have seen it, and we have all seen it, where the coach doesn't make the move. And I think that comes down to him not really wanting to play the players that he has on the bench.
Right. Yeah, and I think the last game he played against the US, it was very obvious he thought the quality, he needed quite a bit of quality. And in fact, he's alluded to the whole 4 to 6 range number of players that he expects to bring in by summer, actually. Because I don't think he's totally bought into the talent that we have. Even though he talks about some of his mouth about the JPL players and they got to be compete, then you hear him talking, you realize he's saying that they're not where they need to be.
Look, I have always been a proponent of the best, and that's a very that's to each his own, right? Some people are going to think this player is better than this player. So I don't really care what the address is and where they play, to be honest. If the player is performing and ready to go, then pick him. I don't care about that stuff. But I just feel like the pool needs to be a little bit wider, because it's clear that when we have issues with selection, we don't really have that next option that the coach trusts.
Right.
At least he doesn't show any trust in them when we play the games. So, he hasn't told me this, but based on what I see, I don't think he believes in all of the squad when he picks a squad. And when we can get to the point where he believes in the whole squad, I think we'll see a better result.
Yeah. No, can't disagree. And I think from what the coach is saying, it's very clear to me the coach needs these reinforcement. In fact, to be honest, people, the coach is looking for reinforcement. Let's be honest. The coach is looking for reinforcement. And he's going to get reinforcement. The question is going to be, how does he use the reinforcement when he gets it? And will he be able to make the tough decisions? Because there's some players who need to go on the bench. They need to realize they're not indispensable. And if you're not producing, then the bench and you should be friends.
Well, Cranky, listen, we have seen in all right, for an example, Leon Bailey at Aston Villa, right? Since Rashford and Asensio have shown up, wouldn't you say his performances have improved?
Who, Bailey's?
Yes.
He's not getting a lot of playing time, though.
No, when he was, right now he's injured, so he hasn't been in the squad since.
Yeah, but I haven't seen material improvement in this game for the entire year, to be honest. I'll be honest. Will he be pushed? Yes, he's gonna be pushed, because Asensio has about 10 goal contribution in 11 games, some ridiculous number. And Rashford is now scoring. And Rashford is actually taking Holly Watkins' game in some respects. Because look what they play PSG this week, what's gonna happen. Rashford may start at center forward, right? Because Watkins has been misfiring. And there's no comparison between Watson and Bailey, frankly. And even though Rashford plays the wing, he's playing center forward for Villa now. So Bailey's now further down, because Malin is now playing, and Ramsey plays out wide. So where does he get game? Where's he get the game time?
In the Champions League, Marlon is not in their squad.
Okay. I didn't know Marlon was not in the squad. But even Marlon's not in the squad, they still have Ramsey. They still play a midfielder, as you know, outside. Sometimes both sides, frankly, play with no wingers. But now that he has wingers, that's why he went on and got Rashford. It's gonna be tough for Bailey to get game time. Somebody's saying Bailey's injured, but it's tough. Whether he's injured or not, think about the team and who's playing where.
No, I thought the same. But when they played the last Champions League what was that? The round of 16.
Yeah.
Bailey started both games with
Okay.
with Asensio and Rashford there. So
yeah, I
I'm
think
just
I think
saying.
those two were both blending in. Wouldn't you agree? They were both blending in. They have not blended in, frankly.
Yeah, look, you can say, you can put it any kind of way. I'm just saying I think Bailey will perform better for Jamaica if he feels like he's being challenged.
Oh, you mean for okay. So there's two things, right? You think now he's playing better for Villa because he's being challenged, and you believe he'll have more urgency in his game when he plays for Jamaica.
Correct.
Yeah, look, most people should respond that way, to be honest, because then you're gonna be in the pine. You're gonna be sitting on your butt. So why wouldn't you try to play your best? I actually think here's the strange thing about this. Go, Jason. I think he's trying really hard for Jamaica. I just think he's not playing well. And when I watch him play for Jamaica, I see him trying. It's just not happening.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know, man. He seems to have no luck with Jamaica as well, because a lot of times the idea is there, but he falls down, or I don't know what's going on with his boots when he's in Jamaica.
It ain't Jamaica alone. If you went to watch the game in St. Louis, the first goal come from him falling down in the 18-yard box.
Yeah.
Right. So
one of the better chances we had.
Exactly. Yeah.
He couldn't get the shot off because he lost his footing. So I don't know what's going on with the footing. But at the end of the day, right, I feel like as well, not only do we need more new players, Cranky, but I also feel like we need to get out of this mentality as a selection. Like when we're picking our teams, it seems as if there are players that are just forgotten. All right, as an example, when Bailey got in trouble for going out, there was another player there that went out as well, Trevante Stewart, right?
Yep.
And Trevante Stewart, when he was playing for us in that Canada series, he played terribly in that first leg. Horrible. Antonio had to come off injured. He came on, and I want to say they subbed him off in the second half after that because he wasn't doing well. And I think because of that, many Jamaica fans probably wouldn't even be calling for him. But, I follow the players, Cranky. And I've been watching him this season for his club in Serbia. And his overall game has improved a lot. And I don't understand why we're looking for strikers. The coach mentioned it in his press conference the other day that, we could really use with some strikers. And he mentioned missing Antonio, because he thinks that we're short strikers. And that guy's out there playing in Serbia and he can't get a look in. I don't understand why. Norman Campbell came, played okay. I wouldn't say he set the world ablaze, but that's another option that's out there playing.
Yeah, but it goes but Jason, it goes to the point, Jason. The coach doesn't rate them. Let's be honest.
But has McLaren?
He hasn't seen Stewart to rate Stewart. I don't think he has seen Stewart to rate Stewart. No. I'm talking about Campbell, not Stewart. I'm talking about Campbell, not Stewart. He's seen Campbell in a couple of games, right? But Stewart, but that's Merron's job. That's not, the coach don't know. The coach to use wise scout. He don't know the players them. If Simon will give the coach a list, and if you want to tell him he don't know the players them, he hasn't done his homework. He would know. So it's up to Simon and or Merron to put his players on the list and maybe extol the version of the players and go look at him on wise scout because he ain't going to Serbia. But you're right. I mean, these players. So here's a question for people. If these players are trying to go overseas to improve themselves, enhance their compensation, to help themselves and their families, but also on the expectation that if I play overseas and I play well, I get a call by the national team, I'll be considered. How do we make sure that works then? It goes back to my point about the strategic recruiting and the strategic assessment of players. We don't have a comprehensive process, Jason, where we know all the players. They're being reviewed periodically. We have deciphered who's going to review who, when, and where, and bring the information back to a centralized group to have discussion. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah. But why is that not happening? Why do you think that?
Because it's not organized that way. It's not organized. I've had discussion with people about the whole recruiting process, not in the JFF, and they basically look at me like I have two heads. Like, what are you talking about? They have somebody in England now who work with other people, but it's not The JFF is conflicted, whereby if they get too good at this, they'll have too many overseas players. They want to the local players. They don't want to get into that situation. They will close their eyes and hope it goes away. It ain't going away. Because fans want the best, right? And they want to manage the process, have their quota. They have a quota in the national team, you know. When nobody tell you anything, they have a quota in the men's national team. I don't care what they tell me or what they tell everybody. But it's a soft quota. It's not the same quota as they have for the junior teams.
Soft quota?
Yes,
so
it's a very soft quota. It's not a definitive 7 number, it's a soft quota. Okay? But there's a quota. Anybody tell you anything different, I just laugh at them. I can give them 5, 6, 7 examples where the decision made is quota driven versus everything else. There's a quota, but the quota is not explicitly stated, nor is it communicated anywhere. And they'll come out and say there's no quota, there is a quota. And if anybody said there's no quota, they've been disingenuous. In a number of instances, we have had options and we chose the local player. We can call it cost, we can call it convenience. Even when it's not cost, it happens, Jason. So there's a quota system.
All right, and the next thing too, your last caller, and this is the last thing, I won't hold up a line too long. The passion argument, right? Where do you stand on this? Because I don't really understand why it's something that people like to bring up. A part of me thinks it's because there's no way to really measure it. So it's an easy argument to make because no one can refute it.
Right. So if you notice, it's a local versus diaspora argument. Why do I say that? Because when I hear people like LSM talk, he'll talk about Cephas, he'll talk about Dixon, right? He'll talk about a number of players who show that passion and that drive, and when they come on the field, they do X, Y, Z. But it's being disingenuous because King doesn't play that way. McGee doesn't play that way, right? Shamar doesn't play. I won't even say overseas players. I'm just saying local players. Certain local players doesn't play that way. But when you see Cephas come on, he's running all the time. Dix come on, there's a lot of energy. And they're using that as the basis to say the overseas players are not passionate. Because they play more controlled. Because they're playing sometimes, I would even say this is not going to sound terrible, probably a more cerebral game. They're pacing themselves. They understand what their mission is, what they need to do, versus I'm just going to go on and I got to show in 20 minutes what I need to do, so I'm going to work really hard and just run. There's a difference.
Yeah, I think that's why, even though Lattibody get a lot of beating when he was playing midfield, especially.
Yeah.
Jamaican fans have time for him. You know why?
Yes. He put in the work.
Because he will kick down somebody and thump down somebody.
And he will show a fight, he will go in your face and, right?
Correct.
In your face and he take a yellow card. Yeah.
Correct. So people need to understand that it's not what my address is that makes me play a certain way. Certain players have certain characteristics. That's all it is.
Yeah, because if you see those players historically, right? Think about Hayden. He's seen play for Arsenal, U-team, then play one game for Arsenal team, then play for Newcastle. He's always played the same way. They play the way Pinnock.
They play the way they play.
Pinnock look like he's not breathing. He's always Mr. Cool, like he's going to an event, just relax. That's how he plays. So you gotta look at the players. Here's the question people should ask him: how do they play for their club team? How do they play for the national team? If you're gonna judge them, don't judge them based on other players and how they're running around. Judge them how they play normally in their what I call their day job, which is for their club teams. So I think they play the same way.
Yep.
They play the same way. So people like to beat them, but it's a local versus a diaspora argument. That's all it is.
Yeah, and I just feel like it's unnecessary because it's less about that and more about the person, like the actual person.
Yeah, but it's substantiate or satisfy their argument, right? They have a certain view. It's anti-diaspora view a lot of times. They want to make a case as to why they're justified in their argument. So they'll bring those things up to say they're not committed, they're not passionate. See, XYZ does this and they don't do this. I've heard LSM say that all the time.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to take you in the show. Big up.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, man.
So let's take some of these comments. Christopher says, Jason, if there's in the quota, why Jamal Lowe might get such fight? I'm not going to use Lowe as the example. Here's the example I will use. Here are a couple of players, and I like some of these players, by the way. Give me 1 second. 433. So I'll give you an example. Dixon, for example, in the team versus some other players who are probably more seasoned, even though I like Dixon, right? Reed in the team. Nobody's talking about Reed anymore now. From Cavaliers, who kept it under 20. He was in about 2 squads, And the coach says Seaman, he likes him and he's XYZ. And he just disappears. And even when they do replacements sometimes, when they bring in Jamal Lowe to come in, he played over Dixon. Dixon was called over him. So you can come up with a lot of examples to show that the process is a managed one and there's quota in the system. Anybody tell you? Go ahead, 433. The floor is yours.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, yes.
But anyways,
your line sound bad now. Your line sound bad. We can't hear, but your line sound bad. Your line sound bad. Hello? 433. Hello?
Yeah. No, man, so big up to Arsenal, you know. They enjoy over the weekend. I thought Saka was back, but
he played one half. He played the second half.
All right.
And by the way, we got cheated, but that's okay. Keep going.
All right.
That was never a penalty 10 years on a Sunday. Not a penalty. But go ahead.
Yeah, but you know, as these players feel contact, I think an Arsenal player would do the same.
No, it wasn't a penalty because they were both holding each other. It can't be a penalty. They're both holding each other.
I'm just saying, like, as these players feel contact, it's not the player fault. It's not the player giving himself a penalty. So therefore, you should have done a better job, right?
Yeah.
But Jason touched on the point about some of the players coming in. Like, I think he asked him about, like, can they add something to the team or something within that line? And
right,
I've been seeing a lot of like comments from various Reggae Boyz fans when they're like, you know, will these players actually add to the team? You know, it's not everybody can play for the team, and it's obvious that you can only select 23 and it's only 11 can play on a match day, right? However, as Jason said, we need to make the pool wider in the sense that if you look at Arsenal, for example, this season, right? You know, a lot of people like to do some astrophysics and one bag of foolishness to kind of calculate what has gone wrong with Arsenal this season, which it's not hard. It's just that in terms of like-for-like players being replacements for the starters, they don't have as much of those players compared to like a City of a couple years ago. So the quality, it drops when they play against specific teams, right? And sometimes, you know, they have injuries and that can also add to the drop in quality. But I think it's more so not having enough players in rotation, like for like to an extent that can add something close enough to what the starters would add, such as the Bukayo Sakas of the world or the Martin Odegaard, right? And I think with Jamaica is the same thing to an extent where it's like when we play teams, right, our starting 11 tends to be strong to an extent. But whenever we make substitutions, right, we don't have a lot of like for like players coming on that can put up or hold the same quality compared to the players that's coming off the pitch. You know what I'm saying? Or the players that did start. So when I look at a lot of these players, right, I don't specifically see them as world beaters, which nothing is wrong with that. Not everybody's going to be world class. Not everybody's going to be, you know, in the best of class or anything like that. But it doesn't take away from the fact that they have talent, right? You look at the Campbell from Sheffield United, for example. Haven't watched him as yet, but based on the highlights that I've seen, you know, I believe that this is a guy that can literally add something to this national team. I'm not saying he's going to come to the team and score 50 goals or anything like that, right?
Right.
But just based on what I'm seeing and my assessment of the player, I think he could be a quality addition. However, the next step would be, if he does come, he would have to go out there and prove that he's a quality addition to the team, right? But I think a lot of these players that we have at our disposal now, and you know, I was thinking to myself, like, it's so weird. You know how much countries would wish? Let me use India for example, Frankie, right? India, they're not really a footballing nation, right? But they're trying to get themselves out there, etc. And I know for a fact, if India had a lot of these players at their disposal, like what we have, they would, I'm gonna say no, they would have loved that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'll give you an example. Bangladesh had, you know, Chaudhry, who played for Leicester City, right? He's now at loan in the championship. He decided to play for Bangladesh. And let's just say he went to one of the training sessions and it was mayhem. Mobbed. He's a championship player. He's mobbed at the airport. He treated like royalty. He can't walk in the streets. Right? That's just one example. But maybe family breeds contempt. Maybe we have too many and we just contentious when it comes to that. Or we think we're good enough on the island, so therefore why should we bring other people in? So the analogy would be if India had in cricketers outside of India, would they embrace them coming to play for India when they have such a good team? If the player was good enough. Yeah.
I think the mentality, I think part of the mentality with the Jamaican fans, it has to do with the culture on a whole, right? And I think the next thing is that we think that we're better than what we actually are. And you find that in football a lot of the times where people kind of overestimate or overthink their existence in terms of on the global scale, in terms of like the talent level or what they actually think they can do against opponents, right?
Yeah.
With Jamaica, we're absolute nobodies when it comes on to football, with all due respect, right? But I think with a lot of these players, whether they were born in Jamaica or born overseas, I think this is forming up to be our golden generation that we have to use in a proper way. You know, we don't need to use them in a way where they're just like, we just dispose of them if it doesn't work or anything like that. You know, you treat the players with respect to, well, not to an extent, you treat the players with respect in general, right? 100%. So I think we need to get a lot of these players in the door. And when I say in the door, either by calling them up or just by making sure that they have the passports so that you have a wide pool of players that you can select from, you know?
Totally agree, by the way. Totally agree.
And I've always said, I care about the 2026 World Cup, but I don't care about it to the extent where it's like, okay, those 3 countries, they've already qualified, right? I care about Jamaica qualifying for the next 2 World Cups after that.
Right.
Because the JFF, to me, they need to be tested in terms of they've failed massively over all those years, right? Okay, fair enough. Every company failed every now and then, and you know you have to recover from that. So they need to put measures in place right now that not that it will only guarantee the success of 2026, but the World Cup cycles after that as well. Especially seeing that the World Cup will be expanding. That's the real test of this federation. To me, it's not 2026. That's a big test, you know. Seeing that it's in our backyard, right?
Right.
But after that as well, with the players that we have right now, that can be our golden generation because the squad is aging to an extent. So what are you going to do in terms of having that revolving door with young players, etc., coming through and forming a proper team to?
Well, I don't think they're coming from the under 20. That's for sure.
Oh, well, yeah.
So we got to find them someplace, right?
Yeah. So I think that's the big test for the JFF. Not 2026 is the big test, and it's the biggest test of this, you know, Mr. Ricketts and those guys, right? But it's also after that because we have a lot of talented players, and I just want the fans to know, like, listen, even if the players come, it doesn't mean that we're just gonna automatically beat the USA and beat the Mexicans of the world because you know they're also like ramping up their talents. You know, you see USA send a lot of players to Europe, and they still have a very young squad to an extent. You know.
Yeah, but the US doesn't restrict their recruiting though.
Yeah, they don't.
The US chased Balogun for 2 years, people. I had this discussion with Sergio Des when I met Sergio Des in Dallas. I asked him about that. He's like, no, you just try to find talent where the talent resides.
Yeah, and I think with the CONCACAF region, I think if we can get a lot of these players to the door, I think a couple years down the line we can potentially win a trophy in our region. You know, I mean,
yeah. Look, I think we should get the best. Look, I think we can do 2 things at once, right? We can multitask. We can develop local players, and we can also recruit the best descendants of Jamaicans who play overseas and have ability to be in the national team. We can do both things. We can do both things.
And with the local players, right? I think you look at the likes of Kaim Dixon. If we can just like export players, right, and send them outside of the country, then I think that's how you actually develop local players, by sending them off at an early age, even earlier than Dixon to an extent, right? But you know, fair enough, if you send them around Dixon's age, then that's also a good thing. You know, you send them to proper leagues to develop, and then you can have those players who you can select to bring back into the national team. But I just don't believe. I think talents are on the island in terms of they can leave the league and can actually become good football players, right? But in terms of just looking at the national league to select them from, to put them into the national team, I think you kind of limit the national team to an extent, you know, because even this developmental spot, I think that's absolutely base. Like,
yeah,
you pick the best of the best. And I was having this discussion with Dickon recently, and he was like, well, every national team can have a developmental spot. And I'm like, I don't think that's the case. I think what happens is that they will identify a player, right, that's probably young, but they're still picking the best of the best within that group, you know, like Lamine Yamal, for example. He's not being picked because, oh, he's young and he needs to develop. No, he's 17, 18, and he's good enough, so we select him. England as well, the players that they've selected, they weren't a selection majority of the times. Not Jordan in this, but, well, I can't say because I'm not the coach, right? But he wants a selection, right? But in general,
you don't see them going out there and pick up player like Wharton or some of those guys just because they need to develop. No, those guys are on farm, they select those players. Argentina the same. When they're 17, 18, you're playing well, we're going to select you. I don't think they look at it from the scope of, we need to develop you or anything like that.
No, I think you're right about nowadays, even more so. Young players have been in teams, right? Pele was 17 when he played in the Brazil team that won the first World Cup, right? Coaches always pick players who they believe have the capability to not just be in the team, but play well in the team. So if you're very young and you're in the team, it's because you deserve your spot a lot of time. You're very, very young. So if you're Lamal, who started at the Euros at 16 years old, if you're playing for Barcelona on a regular basis, even though they make players, then obviously you're going to be able to transition to the national team real easy, given the standard at Barcelona. So I do think that you're right in terms of, I don't think the national team should be used for developing players, but in Jamaica, it's different. People want it for exposure, not even for development, for exposure purposes, to sell players or to give them international exposure so they can get an overseas contract. Right? The Spains of the world don't suffer from that. If you're in a Spain team, you don't need no exposure. If you're in Spain, if you're in Barcelona, you don't need no exposure. You're exposed. If you're playing the Premier League, you don't need exposure. You're exposed. If you're playing the JPL, you're not exposed. Well, you get more exposure nowadays, but you're not exposed as you probably should be. So, yeah.
I know when them say, if you're old enough, you're good enough, like, we turn it in terms of, like, if you need to develop enough, we'll put in a national team, right?
Yeah.
And I think one thing that kind of did show up the program to an extent, and it's not a knock on the player because it wasn't his fault, is when you put a man like Whisper in the team that's not playing any professional football.
Well, I mean, Whisper was somebody who was recommended to Hargrimson, right? And he dominated local football. So I think they've reserved one or two roles for some of those players in the national team.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if you stoop to that level, because remember, I was playing football, right? Yes, he was with Phoenix going on tours. But if you stoop to that level to select a player, Cranky, for development, I think that's a disrespect to the program. Show me a country, other than probably New Zealand a couple years ago when them go World Cup America, so then bring some random player, and North Korea will probably just pick up man off high street. Other than those two countries, right? Show me a next country where pick a player that's really and truly not playing professional football to put in the national program. A serious country that wants to accomplish something is not going to do that. You know what I'm saying?
But isn't the JPL? Oh, you mean if you bring a player? Okay, I understand what you're saying. No, I don't know of many where that may occur.
He was there a couple years ago. I think that was a disrespect to the national program.
Yeah.
And this is why we need to widen the pool as well, where you actually have, and we need to respect professional players. That's how I see it. If a man is out there playing professional football and performing,
that is true.
You call up the man.
May I hold it to that in 433? May I hold it to that in 433? May I hold it to that in 433?
No, when you say respect, I mean, if a man
what exactly are you saying? What exactly are you saying when you say respect?
When I say, all right, if you play a bad man, criticize him. When we say respect a professional player in terms of,
yeah,
we have to try to drop the level of where these players are playing at, regardless of the league.
So if you say the player not good, I disrespect that.
No, man, no, hold on. I'm saying no. What I mean is like you disrespect a professional player when you call a man who not playing no form of football.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You're disrespecting the league that they're playing.
Oh, okay.
But in terms of like, obviously, I'm not gonna abuse a player, right? But in terms of him play a bad game, and I'm like, that wasn't a good game, or you're not good enough. Then I don't think that's like disrespect.
So you're not gonna abuse. What? Me have to care for see person. Give you a time, When you say now abuse a player, so if you say not good, abuse that.
No. Abuse is when like you bring up things when are related to football, right?
Okay.
Like you bring up man's skin color and say, you're
okay. So you think say anything goes, turns out good, him can't play, him don't enough to come back. You think that's not abuse?
I think enough to come back thing is kind of, I'm not going to say it's abuse, but I don't go that far.
Okay.
Yeah, enough to come back. It's kind of too harsh, because nobody's going to turn on a call up really and truly to that extent.
Come here, watch a program the other day, and me have to turn it off. The man was so brutal. And the man was very supportive of local players, which you should be. But the support that people are giving nowadays, which is very interesting, it's almost like it got to be one versus the other. You can't support a local player and support overseas players because you get beaten either side. To be fair, you get beaten either side. If you support Dixon, you can't support Dixon because not good enough. Because then you can't support Jamal Law. I can't support K. Roy. I don't believe in that. I like certain players. I'm going to tell you I like them. I like King. I like Dixon. I like Cephas, even though Cephas, stretched me real hard, boy, in last game, I tell you the truth. I mean, a bandwagon is Cephas, but I tell you, people have beat you, but you don't know football in brain. I mean, put myself on the lamb for you and you chop off my neck. I'm tell him it's so embarrassed by your performance the other day. I mean, you're a man, see you play good. I mean, I wonder in blind. Go ahead, Fortune, in blind. I mean, I understand it.
To my last point with Dixon, I see that he has been getting opportunities in the first team for Charlton.
Okay.
And I think he played over the weekend like 30-something minutes.
That's
Didn't watch
good.
the game, but I heard that he had like, I think his match rating was like 6.5, but he lost the ball like on 7 occasions. But my message to Dixon is just try to take these opportunities and learn from it and grow from it. You know what I'm saying? Even if you have a bad game, I don't think it's the end of the world. You know, but he has to grasp these opportunities. But I think what we're seeing is in terms of him coming off the bench is another reason as to why he's not starting in the national team, right? Because I remember the coach of Charlton saying last year that, you know, he needs to kind of get himself up there physically. Where somebody
you mean fitness-wise? Fitness-wise, I think they were talking about, right? He wasn't fit. Yeah. He wasn't fit for the level. He was probably fit for Jamaica, but not fit for how they play there. The more intense game.
But also physically, the coach did mention that he needs to adjust.
And here's what's interesting, people. So when Dixon come play for Jamaica, everybody said, "Boy, I'm play with energy and play with this." And yet, when he went to England and he was playing the same energy, they're saying he made it to develop more physically and to be fitter, which is really interesting, actually.
Yeah, and you know, I've made videos on Dixon recently where, you know, people are saying, "Oh, I'm ready for start," and I'm like, well, the coach at Charlton and obviously the coach at the national team thinks differently, you know. So who should I listen to? Obviously the coach. The coach make decision based on potential outcomes. Doesn't make decision because he likes Dixon. He make decision because Dixon can give him the best chance to win. Yeah, and I think Dixon, and don't get me wrong, people, I'm not saying he's like this player, but I think Dixon is, to me, I would compare him to the likes of the Garnachos of the world in the sense that they're young players. And I don't think Garnacho over 90 minutes gives you what you're looking for. I think he's best suited coming off the bench because he needs to develop his game. And it's the same thing with Dixon. These young players, as much as they have that spark every now and then, over 90 minutes, it's a different people. Playing football over 90 minutes is a different story majority of the time. Compared to when you're coming off the bench.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And you saw that with Cephas, I must admit, last game, even though it's a small sample size. What I would love is for every player to play at their maximum and to perform well, to give the coach headaches. I saw the coach. I saw the coach's face, and I listened to his press conference subsequent to the US game. And I'm telling you, what I get from him was, I need more players, and I need better players, period. It's not about overseas versus local. I just need better players in this team. Because if you were at the game, people, it was even worse than if you watch it on TV. It was that bad. Maybe it didn't worse anywhere. It was just that bad. But I also thought he got out coaching that game. So he needs to look in the mirror also. The USA game where we lost 4-0 in the first half, and then they just took it that easy, and that's when we scored 2 in the second half.
I blame the fans for that last year, because then tell the man to switch system. Not saying that he did listen to them, but you know.
I mean to play the wrong system in the different. CC asked that question, you know. At home he played defensive and he played attacking away from home, which is contradictory to how you normally play.
Yeah.
Can you algorithm say they'll have 9 at the back, right? And 2 people up front.
Yeah. But the fans have to take some beating still, because going into that USA game, I'm not saying you cannot believe as a fan and you want your team to win, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you go there and commit suicide just because, you have this belief that you're going to beat the team. No, you set up properly and then you can still believe, right? It might not be the game that you want to play, but it might be the best game or the best system to beat the team, and then you can enjoy the winnings, you know?
Yeah.
But that's it for me.
All right. Thanks, Portugal. Thanks for the call.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. I'm going to close down the stream. I'll take one more call if you don't want to call. I'm going to close it down because I was planning to be here for an hour and a half. It's been 2 hours and 18 minutes. And the call is 43 calling back. I know somebody else is calling back. Give me 1 second. This is a Cranky Live show. Good evening.
Why I said Cranky Spence here?
Spence, Dwight, how are you doing?
Me there, brother. Good show. You have put in the work tonight, yeah?
I appreciate the compliment. Yes, I'm trying to put in a little bit of work. A lot of work.
Yeah. I'll be brief so you can go. So one of the things with Jamaica's our squad, there's a significant drop from our best 22 to our second 22. That's a fact, and it's a significant drop. So once we get past our best 22 squad, our next 22 are not even playing at the same, not even close to the same level as the first 22. So that's part of what we have with Jamaica. That's the issue. When people say we need new players, but
Dwight, is that really true though, Dwight? And here's why I say that. Right? Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Wes Arden, Conor Boyce Clark, Russell, Jamal Lowe. There are a number of players we have called in the past, right? Who, for some reason, they got discarded. They may be good enough to even compete with some of these players. They're not great players, but they may be good enough. But they're not even being considered. Because what happens is we just disregard the overseas, the diaspora players who do get called. They don't matter. We will hear advocate for local players, even over time they don't get called, but it's not the same focus on diaspora players if we don't think they're that great, even though they may be decent players.
I will say this. We disregard diaspora players to be playing as a backup depth position. So
yes, that's the point. That's the point. Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Basically, so I'm going to look at the diaspora players in two things. If they basically didn't go to secondary school in Jamaica, right?
All right.
They don't want those players coming in to ride the bench and fight their way up. They want those players to come in and perform, and that's where you have the gap between our best 22 and our second 22.
Now part of this could be cost, right? We can't never forget that.
Yes.
Right. So do I bring 5 people on the bench from overseas when I can get 5 local players because they may not play anyway? That's part of the thought process.
Yes. And I will say, so I think there is, I don't think there's a quota. I think there's a budget constraint.
Yeah, there is. Big one too.
Just my opinion, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And the other thing I will say, regardless of which 50, 60, 70 Jamaican players that we call up across all our national teams, our teamwork, our cohesion, our sync, and our chemistry has to improve across the board.
Okay.
And Jamaican teams really only show that in a tournament environment. You take us in the one-off window World Cup and World Cup qualifiers, we struggle. Professional players, not professional players, it doesn't matter.
You know we've been struggling throughout this campaign, this World Cup campaign, right?
Yeah, we've been.
Look, Dominican Republic. We haven't destroyed those teams who are like 170 something ranking, 120. We haven't been destroying them. We should be destroying them.
Cranky, love the team, but our team, if you're gonna and our team playing scoring more than 3 goals against anybody in CONCACAF, you're gonna lose. I said 3 goals, and I said, hold on. If somebody said, bet me a case of a red stripe, if we can put 3 goals plus British Virgin Islands, me not do it.
I'll bet that one.
No, bro. No.
If we can't drink, but if we can't put 3 plus Virgin Islands, we stop playing football. If we can't put 3 plus BVI, we stop playing football. Seriously, if we just go back here, go back here to Jamaica, go back here to England, wherever you come from, just go back here. No worry about it. Blake, go back and Blake not score, but Blake, go back to Philadelphia. Tell them say yes, they might be a time. Blake. If we can't put 3 plus BVI, no, Guatemala is a different story.
Yeah.
Last time we played them in the Gold Cup, we beat them 1-0. We struggled with them.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
They're from Central America, like Honduras and like El Salvador. It's a tough game. We normally prevail with those teams, but it's a tough game.
I will say that. Well, I was going to put this on the diaspora players or versus. There is a difference in CONCACAF when you play against a Honduras, a Panama, a Guatemala, El Salvador. They do not match us talent-wise, but the energy and the emotion, the passion that they will bring to a game that they need to win against us is heavy. And that's what some of our players need to understand. While they are clearly better than some of these teams and players, you play them on a one-off game and the stadium is rocking. It's a different.
They play with a lot of national pride, I'll call it, right? A lot of national pride, desire to win, must win, have to win. And it comes across in the game. Doesn't mean that we're not playing to win, but it's a different sense to it.
Yes. Different urgency.
Yeah, there's a different urgency, yes.
Yeah. But I will say this, I think we'll do the job at the end of the day, we'll do the job against British Virgin Islands and Guatemala. What I'm going to be keenly paying attention to is what goes on in the Gold Cup. And and I said it here, McLaren has been our coach on 3 or 4 occasions out of his 10 matches. If we see him getting out coached in the Gold Cup, somebody needs to make a move quick. And I don't mean replace him, but somebody needs to get the technical minds in there, because you need to make the adjustment fast and quick.
Yep. Yeah.
That's my 2 cents, my friend.
All right. Appreciate the call, sir.
All right. Blessings and respect.
All right.
Yeah.
So the man is saying I am spreading false narrative when I do my comparative between overseas born players and locally born players in terms of how it's played. I hear people ask about Fleming all the time. They ask about Giovanni's. They ask about these players all the time. So I'm not sure what you're talking about, the man. Once in a while, somebody will ask about Russell. I hear nobody asking about Jamal Lowe, and I hear anybody ask about Wes Arden. There's a difference, right? There's a big difference. You may not think so, but I see it and live it every day. I think there's a difference. I think when the overseas players are discarded, people just move on. They're not in the consciousness. Now, there are some local players who are playing like in Serbia, as Cece mentioned earlier, like a Stewart, for example, who the names may come up, but not with the frequency one may expect, given that they're playing in halfway decent leagues and maybe doing well. And that's part of the problem also when it comes to the whole notion of players needing to be committed and players need to wear the sleeve and badge on their shirt and all that. The country is not showing the players the love that they deserve or they should be showing them, but they want, so the country doesn't reciprocate. The love is a one-way street. You need to love the country and do everything for the country, but then they ask the question, what is the country doing for you? Right? It should be a two-way street. We have to treat players with respect. And at the same time, we expect respect in return. But my hope is that, look, my hope is always that the JFF improve and that the JFF realize that they're sitting on a gold mine. And how do they exploit that gold mine? How do they cherish the gold mine? How do they utilize the gold mine? And I'm not sure they realize that. And a lot of countries are dying for what we have, and we don't realize what we have. Somebody asked me earlier about Ramsey from Villa. It's my understanding that he's not out of the mix. Now, he's not like a Greenwood or a Sterling or a Dujon Sterling, but there is a remote likelihood, but not a probable likelihood. Put it that way. It's remote more. Think about those players who believe that they have a chance for England and who are much closer than others are and may have gotten called if Lee Carsley was actually running the team versus Tuchel. But they also, everybody want to play World Cup next year. Let's be honest. Right? If you're mid-20s, you may never get a chance to play. And if you're good enough, we should get out our feeling and say, you know what? I know you'd like to play for England, but England can't not bringing you in. Come play for us. This is a business transaction. You see how Trump is operating, people? Everything's a business transaction. Nothing is sacred. It's a business transaction. What can I do for you? You can get me to the World Cup, and I can give you some publicity. I can give you some notoriety. You may get bonus because there's always clause in your contract about international, right? It's good to have international in your squads. People like say, well, if 13 international or 15 international, it's good to have international, no matter where the international is playing or where they're playing for. Especially if you rank under a certain number. We need to probably improve our ranking. But we have to find ways to get out of our feelings and support the players, pursue the players, and hopefully we'll get some who no one expect to join us. Like a Dwight McNeil, for example, who just come back from injury. Like a Jacob Ramsey, who is at Villa. Those, like a Tyreek Mitchell, who is at Crystal Palace. Those players are probably more in the remote area, but it's not impossible. But as I've said before, Jargon, I just saw this Jargon, sorry. No, I think he was waiting for England, actually, is my understanding. He was waiting for England. I think players are looking, I think the most important window coming up is the summer window. If Jamaica want players, they ain't going to get them for the summer, some of them. They ain't got none of consideration. If they don't get called by this summer by Tuchel, some of them going to look for alternatives. Not only for Jamaica, but for other countries. So if you're from Nigeria, or you're from Ghana, or you're from Sierra Leone, I'm telling you, players are saying 2026 World Cup in America, I want to be there. So if my country ain't calling me, I got to think of alternatives. Right? I got to think of alternatives. We'll see what people like Hudson-Odoi does, actually, who thinks he's eligible for Ghana, playing well for Nottingham Forest, and has been delaying whether or not he should commit to his ancestral country. So I do believe that some players will say, you know what? Ain't happening. Somebody else want me. I forgot there. And I'm going to say something to the YouTubers then before I go. And I know people can get upset with me, but we have this thing about English reject. And I've said that the other day. Please stop the reject dialogue. They're not rejects, right? They're not rejects. Then everybody going to play for their country, as I said before the other day, is a reject. They're not rejects. They may not get called for their country. They're not rejects. Stop. That's a very derogatory term. And I'm not sure you want anybody to come play for you who believes a reject. Because then all the diaspora players who are playing for us are rejects. And all the JPA players who play for Jamaica, Jamaica's rejected them. It's not a reject. They just didn't get called. So we need to stop that narrative because it doesn't sound good. I know it may drive attention, it may get views, and I promised I wasn't going to beat any YouTubers, but it doesn't sound good. I hear it a lot of times nowadays, and I'm like, I get very frustrated when I hear it, to be honest. We should stop that term. I understand that some of these things, Jamaicans like to come hard when they say things, and that's how they probably feel, but they're not rejects. Then all of us, we didn't get a job we didn't go to a certain school, we didn't go to a job in a certain company, we didn't play for a national team. That means I'm a reject of 2 countries. I didn't play for England, I didn't play for Jamaica. I didn't play for America either. I'm a reject of 3 countries. I want to feel like I'm a reject. So let's use a better term. I'll figure something else out to say. Dre DJ says, Cranky, once the JFF get it right, the football will improve. Yeah. Look, I think they're trying. But there's a difference sometimes between trying and know-how. I'm going to give you an example. Dennis Chung went into the JFF. Let me drink some water first, people. I was promised to be done in 2 minutes now. Let me give an example. Dennis Chung went to the JFF. They had financial problems, like real financial problems. And he's worked with them to put in what he wants governance in place. That means he's creating accountability. That means he's putting procedures in place. That means he's had oversight in place. That means he's holding people to do the job they've been hired to do and do it the right way. As you hear him say, when he went to JFF, go to job, 11 o'clock, nobody's there. Like it's not even a party shop, because people go work a party shop. You have to go the party early. And what kind of shop that is. So he's changed the culture of the organization. That needs to be, every discipline that the JFF had needs to be operating that way. You can't just be your finance and your procedural area. It got to be your technical area. It got to be your committees. It got to be marketing. It got to be every aspect of your organization need to operate effectively and efficiently to allow you to be successful, because they are all interconnected. If people are not marketing well, you can't generate sponsorship. You don't have money to pay. If the money's been spent frivolously, then you can't pay for some of your more some of the things that you want to get done. You can't pay for them. You can't afford them, right? If the committees are not working well to make sure things are being governed appropriately, then you're going to have people who are executing responsibilities not doing a good job. So you have to ensure that your organization is working seamlessly, working efficiently, working effectively to get things done. And the hope is that, given what Dennis is doing in the financial area, that hopefully that will cascade throughout the organization, and every discipline will maximize potential. But each discipline has to be open and transparent about, do they have the answer? Do they need to go get the answer? Do they know how to go get the answer? And sometimes people are reluctant to say, I don't know, or reluctant to ask for help, or reluctant to go pursue help. Then therefore you can improve, right? So for example, the technical area, that's fundamental to a football program. I don't think that's being managed well. I don't even know. We don't even have I know Donzo was technical director. He's retiring. Who's the next technical director, right? So there are things there that needs to be done. Dre said, I would love to get Hutchinson. I think Hutchinson's ship has sailed. I'm ambivalent about Hutchinson. But if he wants to come back and the coach take him, I'm fine with it. But that marriage, that divorce and separation gets tiresome. Right? The man said, go and listen to Busby about playing for your country. His views are worldwide view, and the reason why Hugginson and America don't run down everybody. I'm not sure what that means. Nobody's saying you should run on everybody. Coach has to pursue people, and it's not run down. Go pursue people who can help them achieve their objective. If you have need and there are players out there that satisfy your need and they have Jamaican heritage and you can get them, you should pursue them. Nobody's saying go play run on everybody. You know how much players of Jamaican heritage are in England? Tons of them. Tons. People are looking at different players and say, can this one help? Can this one help? Some can help. Some may not have the requisite skill set you want or the quality you want. Yeah. Totally agree, J. Ross. Jeremy says, they're picking up once our team is good, you have a chance. Yeah, look, I expect that if Greenwood comes in, and he's coming at some point, that players may not necessarily follow Greenwood, but they're going to feel better about the quality. Because think about any team. It's like when LeBron James went to Miami, go play with Chris Bosh and with Dwayne Wade. You want a chance to win. Why would you leave England where you have a chance to win, even though they have won things in 66? But at least they always get to finals, versus you get your, spanked when you go play. Players want to play with players that have equivalent talent to theirs. So the more quality players you can get, the more will come and the more you'll improve. And those who talk about chemistry, let me just say this in my parting comment about teams. Teams like Barcelona are built from the bottom up. They probably have the best academy in the history of football, and they're always producing players. They've gone through some dry spell. They still go out and buy talent. They buy the Dembele, they buy the Coutinho, they buy, what's his name from Poland, Lewandowski. They buy players still, right? Teams like Real Madrid just buy stars. They buy the best player. They want to get the best player who plays attractive football to be in their team. If you look at the Madrid team, it's all pursuing the best players. So stars can win, and they win most Champions League. Stars can win. You get the best players, you can put them in a system, spend a ton of time with them, they can get you outcome and get you results. And we got to think about that. That's the point people are making when they're saying, go pursue this player and play that player, because they believe that player is better than what we have and can add value. All right. Let me close on by saying this. I appreciate everyone who have been here. Before you leave the program tonight, if you haven't hit the like button, please do so. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And if you haven't shared this video, I'd love for you to do so. And I appreciate you being here. It's been good having a conversation. Thanks to all the callers. I don't want to call the name, because I remember. I know CC called. I know 433 called. I know Kaka called. Am I missing somebody else? I may be doing so. And also, Jason Guna called. One more person may have called. And for those in the chat with all your comments, love the comments, love the dialogue, love the engagement. I didn't have any troll tonight because I noticed that Paul Edwards is behaving himself. Because the other troll person who normally comes here, didn't come. So Paul Bailey Paul Edwards is behaving himself. Have a good night, Paul. We appreciate you being here. I appreciate everyone who's here. And look, people, I'm encouraged by the list of players that we're pursuing. I know we have to have some cohesiveness. I know we have to have some togetherness. But I believe a lot of times talent can get you a great place. It's got to know to mold that talent. So if the coach get these players in, and these players can adapt to this environment, we'll have a good chance of qualifying for the World Cup. Because some of the players who are coming, or proposed to come, I'm going to give you an example. Greenwood, don't have to talk about him. Lewis Baker, history, 1 in 3 that he contributes to goals, and we need goals, scoring goals. So Greenwood is a goal scorer. Baker either assists or score goals. And we can think about Dujon Sterling, who's a very, very good player, actually, to come in the team, right? And there's some other players out there who may be coming who are quality and with that value. So the future look bright, right? The future look bright in terms of potential recruits. Now, let's see if we can work with PICA, JFF, and the player and their representative to get them over the line. They can come in the team, and they can give us some sense of appeasement and comfort that they're going to contribute to this. Because what will happen is we will have substitution to make, but we know the quality is a big drop-off. Right? We will have that. So hopefully these players can come in and we can all be happy. Peace out, everyone. Have a good night. Thanks for being here. And I'll be back again this week, as I mentioned before, around talking about, is life illogical? Good. Frankie life is the best to be now. For the best sports talk, and it's free, yo. Frankie life will be your guiding light by keeping you informed both day and night. Frankie life, tell them. Frankie life, heed them. Frankie life, want them. Frankie life. From the courts to the field, we'll never lose because Cranky has the hottest news. With expert analysis, we break it down. Our in-depth coverage is best in town. Cranky life, tell them. Cranky life, heed them. Cranky life, want them. Cranky life. Cranky life where the sports is spicy and where we keep the discussion lively. Cranky life, get to know the name because cranky analysis is never lame. Cranky life, give me my cranky life. I want my cranky life. Must have my cranky life. Whether it's football or track and field, you know cranky is at the wheel. So join the journey through victory and defeat and subscribe and don't miss a beat of cranky life. Tell them, cranky life. Heed them, cranky life. Want them, cranky life. If you're from England or USA, from Kingston or Bombay, from Kenya or Canada, Lagos or Havana, visit Cranky Live. Tune into Cranky Live. Like up Cranky Live. Subscribe to Cranky Live. Cranky Live coming to you on weekdays. Cranky Live sometimes on Sundays. Pull up a chair and take a seat because Cranky will always bring the heat. Cranky Live. Me say fi tell them Cranky Life. Me say fi heed them Cranky Life. On them Cranky Life. Cranky Life will be around. Cranky Life is the best in town. Me say fi heed them. Me say fi want them. Me say fi heed them. Want them, heed them, want them. Cranky Life. Cranky Life. Heed them. Want them. Heed them. Want them. Cranky life. Cranky life. Heed them. Want them. Heed them. Want them. Heed them. Want them. Cranky life. Cranky life. Cranky. Heed them. Want them. Heed them. Want them. Heed. Want. Heed. Want. Heed them.